of the digital age, a 21st century casual pain. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. That's not the fiction from the truth. Society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking opinion.
What's up, gang? Here we go. This is it. You bought the ticket. It's time to take the ride. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Episode number, what is this? 332. Good Lord. 332. Coming at you. What's going on? Spikey, what's happening? Good to see you. Robert Hogg in Scotland, of course. Philip Oakey, what's up? John in the UK. Yep. Larry Kelly. Hey, Hazer, what do you say? Yes. I see the UK audience is checking in. GXH. Evening from LA. Is it evening in LA? Isn't it noon in LA? Do I have that wrong? What's up, Rick? Chris Hoffman. Greetings from the surface of the sun in Phoenix. I bet, man. Hot in Phoenix. Rich Zoller, Brian Matson. Good. The gang's all here. That's right. Let's do this. Let's do this. What's with the big UK contingent today? Oh, that's right. Our guest. Yes, absolutely. Abso-friggin-lutely. Looking forward to today. Astoria Lou checking in from Greece. That's right. Greetings from Greece. Sad day. The Neptune Diner is closing in Astoria, Queens. I have a shot at the Neptune Diner. Right. Yep. Where is that? I got to find my shot from the Neptune Diner. Hold on. Where's my Neptune shot? The hell is going on? It is a conspiracy of epic proportions. I'll have to figure it out. In the meantime, let us bring on. What are you wandering the streets?
I'm out on the streets right now. Yes,
When I'm out in the streets,
I'm actually down not far from our usual hangout right now. Walking around, making my way over to the Bowery Electric tonight for a little spoken word thing. So
that's right. Let me. You're doing your spoken word thing tonight.
Yes, sir.
Here, tell us about it. I got the flyer right here.
It's something called Billy Lamont's Medicine Show, and I am joining a few other poets tonight to do some spoken word. And
a poet? Oh, you're a poet now, huh?
I'm a poet, and I know it. So I'm over here. I'm actually right around the corner from Block Drugs right here, and I wanted to find a good ledge I could rest the phone on to report in for you. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be. I'm doing about a 25-minute set of poetry and spoken word, and I think I'm on probably about 10 to 8 tonight. So there's like a few other guys before me, a couple of people after me, and it should be a lot of fun. I love doing this kind of stuff, and I'll be up in the Map Room, which is that beautiful little spot in the Bowery Electric. So yeah, I think more suited for speaking than it is for bands and stuff.
Got it.
But it should be cool, So I just got a good spot here. There's a little bit of through traffic, but
what's at Bleecker Bob's now? Nothing. Bleecker Bob's is an empty storefront now.
That's a shame. But we still got Generation Records, thank God.
Yes, we do.
Yes, thank God we do. So, but
absolutely. We want to do something. We talked about doing something a little different here, right?
Yes.
So something a little bit different here. Instead of photo of the day, it's identify those lyrics. All right. So we're gonna put some lyrics on the screen, and let's see who the first person is that can get what band, what song. You ready? What
Do
band?
it.
I'm doing an easy one first. Here you go.
Mhm.
Boom. Let's see. Let's see who comes in. Who comes in with this first?
I think this is an easy one.
Yeah. Oh, found it.
Someone hit it already?
No. I found the photo I was looking for.
Nice.
Oh wait. All right. Hold on.
Yeah, this was actually inspired by our last time we talked about the lyrics. So I figured we had to do this. I think it's a lot of fun.
Okay. Is it Madball? No. Is it Raw Deal? No. Is it Kingpin? No. Come on.
Wow. I thought this would be an easy one.
Tell them Cackling Hens to shut up back there.
Right?
We're doing. Tell them Cackling Hens to shut up. We're doing a show here. Anybody else? Is it okay? Here we go. Brian Mattson. Is it Biohazard? Yes. Gina Marie, and Joseph K. Is it 5 blocks to the subway?
There we go.
5 blocks to the subway. There's a local wise guy. He owns a whole damn block.
One of my favorites. One of my favorite.
I got footage of them. I got footage of them writing that song, like literally figuring out the lyrics. I have that footage. Yeah. All right, one more. Let's do one.
Yeah.
This one, I didn't know this one. Maybe you will. Here we go. Give it a shot. Boom. Is it Barbra Streisand?
Yes. Babs.
Is it Babs?
This is a favorite. This is a favorite of mine.
Speaking of Babs, didn't you go to that Paramount Theater in Brooklyn?
I was there for the Descendants and the Circle Jerks.
Do you know that Babs was an usher in that theater?
Yeah, you were telling me. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You were telling me about that.
Yep. All right. Is it Menudo? Is it Chris Contos? Fuck, I should have known that. Come on.
This
Come
is
on. All right.
Robert.
Robert Granger on point. Is it Bad Religion? Robert Hogg, Bad Religion.
Rob, the two for the Roberts. They both nailed
What song? What song though?
This is a song called "Do What You Want." In fact, the Car Bomb Parade did this song at Punksylvania, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. That's a great little minute and a half.
What's the name of the song?
"Do What You Want."
Off what record?
It's either No Control or Suffer, I believe.
Huh. I want you to suffer.
I love those guys.
All right,
I love those guys.
All right, here's the shot that I was looking for in front of the Neptune Diner that's about to close. Me and Rocky O'Riordan from the Pogues.
That's a great shot.
Yeah. This is I think this is when they were saying the Neptune Diner was going to close like 10 years ago.
Oh wow.
You know? Yeah.
That's sad that it's closing. You know what? I'm a huge diner fan. I think it's such a great New York
Let me tell you
thing.
something about
Long
the
Island
Neptune,
especially,
yo,
you know.
The Neptune Diner had moussaka to die for. And speaking of which, that is the segue to bring Lori Dawn on the show. Moussaka to die for. You know?
Exactly. I love it.
Oh, it was good, man.
Great entrance.
Yeah.
I mean, we do an annual meeting at the Candlelight Diner of the Long Island hardcore people.
Yeah.
So
Yes, Long Island Hardcore Club.
So now that you're here, Ms. Dawn,
Yes.
we want to announce
Flag.
let's plant the flag here. and
There
talk
it
about
is.
this. You explain what it is, Lori.
Okay, so we're planting the flag early for our holiday slamboree happening in December. So we've got a lot of fun things happening. Of course, we're going to do the Women of the Pit coat drive again. Bring your new or gently used and cleaned coats. Don't bring any smelly things for us, please. And we are going to donate that again. And we have non-residents. We have Fire is Murder, Shoot the Five, starting it off with Serial Poets with a bang. So come early. There's going to be also My War. So a lot of people don't know that, but what it is, it's going to be hardcore karaoke. So we're going to have members of a bunch of different bands: Incendiary Device, Butterbrain, what is it, Neck Scars.
Yep.
And
Bar Bomb Parade.
yeah,
Bar Bomb
Purple
Parade.
Parade, and we're gonna have some karaoke going on. So it's a sing along.
Yeah, well, basically what it is My War is a project that we're putting together to play a whole bunch of like cover songs and have different singers come up for every song. So
Nice.
the flyer says, playing selections from the American Hardcore Songbook with guest vocalists.
Yes.
So we're gonna have different people coming up and singing these songs. Listen, it's the Holiday Slamboree. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stephen Messina's Serial Poets is kicking it off. It's going to be great. Hey, Mei Ling, how you doing?
Yes. Hey.
Hey, Mei Ling. Hey, Victoria.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
So don't pay attention to that date up there. That's the 2023 date.
Oh, good work, Stephen. Wrong date. Good work, Stephen. You know.
Ruined everything. The show is over. The show is ruined.
Listen,
I will fix that.
the show actually happened last year, but what we're going to do is we're going to send the hot tub time machine is going to stop by your house, and you'll get in it, and you will come and travel to come see Holiday Slamboree.
In my defense,
I also want to mention that there's going to be DJ.
I've been working on this flyer all morning.
Half-Rats. Cindy Half-Rats is going to join us. So it's going to be Cindy.
But it's 2023. She's not even back in America yet.
Like, we're going to travel back in time and see.
You had one job, Stephen. One job.
That many jobs. That many.
All right.
Hey, listen, it was an early Sunday morning, and life's tough.
Listen, of course, we always proofread these things.
How many times do we do it? We both missed it.
You know how many of these flyers we do? We proofread it, and it's right there, and you don't see it. Nothing gets past Lori. That's right, Mei Ling.
You know what, Lori? We're going to include you at the 4 a.m. when Drew and I start doing these at 4 in the morning. Right. And he's like, fix this, add that, fix this. And where was Lori to put us both in line?
Yeah.
Okay,
Shit.
so should we tell them the real date?
Yes, December 22nd.
Oh, the whole date is wrong?
Oh, the whole date is wrong.
What the fuck?
Yes. December 22nd.
Hey, listen. Just take my word for it that this is going to happen.
Does that say Madison Square Garden on it?
All right. To be continued. All right.
Yes.
The next time you see it, it'll be all better, I swear.
Just know December 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anybody who took a screenshot of that, delete that shit.
God damn. Right month. You got the month right.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm just a man.
Got the bands right. Got the DJ right. There's a lot of stuff that he got right.
Yo, you were this close, bro. Horseshoes and hand grenades. All right. All right. That said, Lori, anything? You got the art show coming up, right?
Yeah, we got the art show coming up in September. So that's at Bridge 9 Records, and that's going to be with Timmy Zanka, our very own Masato, and Melissa.
But it's like super cheap, but it's always super cheap.
So yeah, and that's at Bridge 9 Records in Beverly, Massachusetts, and I think that's the 28th, Saturday the 28th of September.
Nice shirt. Did Larry Kelly give you that shirt?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
I saw Kill Slug play in the 80s a bunch of times. They were gnarly bad. They were like,
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah.
You never knew what was going to happen with that band, you know.
When are they reuniting to play for us?
The main dude passed.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Lori, we'll talk to you soon.
Yes. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Steven, listen, I know you're a busy guy. You're a poet now and all that, you know, but when you get a chance, fix the friggin' date and the year, will you?
Yeah. 25, right?
Yeah. Do you want to get in the hot tub and go to the past or the future? All right. I'm having too good a time. Have a good event tonight.
Thank you very much. And you know
I
what?
mean, sadly, you know, we should mention this, right?
I was just going to say, yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Is
that we would be remiss of us to not mention that our very dear friend and member of our hardcore family, Mike Flarity of Incendiary Device and the Car Bomb Parade, he lost his dad this week, and very young and very suddenly. And we want to send all of our love and support to the Flarity family at this really terrible, terrible time. So,
yeah.
And that his services today happening in Mineola, and I don't remember the name of the funeral home, but please keep him in your hearts. You know, one of the best guys that we know, and a really terrible, terrible thing to happen completely out of the blue. So,
yeah, it was. He posted a photo of Mike just had a kid, his first kid, and he posted a photo of his dad with his kid, and the next day.
Yeah.
He was going to see his dad. It was his dad's birthday, and his dad sadly passed in his sleep that night.
Yeah, so, really, just a terrible thing.
Yeah, and this is my bandmate, you know, from Incendiary Device, and he is the engine that drives the train. And you know, we're as soon as the show's over, I'm getting in the car. Me and Rochelle are driving out to Long Island and to go to the wake. So you know,
yeah, very sad. You know.
All right. But you know what? Yeah, go ahead.
On that note, you know, I will see you guys later. And please give Mike my best.
I will. Talk to you later. There you have it. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, Mad Vintage, and 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them. Ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. That said, let us clear the deck. And let us bring our guest on. Let's make sure everybody's okay. Everybody's all right. Good. Hey, Chris Contos, my man. Hope you're well. I see you guys are playing some Forbidden's playing some great European shows, buddy. Good for you. And thanks for all your thoughts on drummer Mike. He is one of the good guys, you know. That said, let's clear the deck. And let us bring on our guest. Today's guest is an American singer-songwriter hailing from Long Island, New York. For over 15 years, he has been the driving force behind the oi punk band, the 45 Adapters. Please welcome, coming at us from the jewel of Queens, New York, Sunnyside, Mr. Gerard Lindsay. Hey, man.
The jewel of Queens,
jewel.
New York. I usually lie and tell people I'm from Queens. I'm like, yeah, I've been in Sunnyside my whole life.
Sunnyside, man. You know, I told you I lived in Sunnyside. You know, but I was on the other side of the train there. It's like a weird little spot there. But,
I've been on both. I'm in the part that's technically Woodside. It's more of the working class kind of area, but it's all one neighborhood pretty much. I almost don't want people to hear about it because it's fantastic. Like this morning, I went to Central Park. It took me 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and then I'm back in my house. I'm back in my neighborhood.
7 train?
Yep.
Yeah.
or
is that the
Limousine.
Bliss? Is that the Bliss station?
That is correct. That's exactly. Oh, you know Sunnyside. That's right. That's
Bro,
where
I lived, dude. I was there in like my formidable years, you know. Hey, Frankie Too Far. What do you say, buddy?
Oh.
Yeah, see all your pals. All your pals are showing up. You know.
That is the OG. If you talk about
look
Skinheads,
at they're all showing up, man. They're all showing up to support you. So
you like my fancy drink? Look at this. I got whiskey.
Is that lemonade you're drinking? Is that lemonade you're drinking?
Special lemonade. Yeah. My girlfriend she's fantastic.
Bring me the special lemonade.
I gotta put it in. She makes these great drinks. I gotta put them in like a jar or something and be like Gerard's own whiskey lemonade thing.
We got to start marketing this stuff. You know, let's take it from the top. How did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? Set the table for us. How did music come into your life?
You know, it really started for me. My grandmother was, she wasn't a musician or anything like that, but she loved music. And so, like, you know, some of my earliest awesome memories are we used to watch PBS and we watched these documentaries about the 60s soul groups, about the Beatles, about the Rolling Stones and all that. And that kind of, honestly, half of what I'm into goes back to those days where, you know, either we would have a little dance party in our living room listening to like Motown, listening to all the 60s music, or she also loved like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. She loved the Kinks, all this stuff that, you know, I don't think a 6-year-old black lady, you know, from New York City usually would be into, but she loved all that kind of stuff. So we just, you know, we always watch those documentaries and really all the things I'm into, I think kind of come back to that, you know?
And where did you grow up?
So I'm from Brentwood, Long Island, which is way out in Suffolk. It's my friend Ray is here. Basically, I mean, the two people who are responsible for half of the stuff that I did is my friend Ray, who first introduced me to all this, and then my friend Phil. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I grew up in Brentwood, which is like in the middle of nowhere, and it, you know, there's no internet back then, so you didn't hear about punk or hardcore or anything like that. I actually was kind of like a classical nerd. I didn't really listen to anything else. Started skateboarding. And Ray Doyle, who's in the thing, started getting me into punk and hardcore. He had Dead Kennedys and Bad Religion and all these other bands. And then he dragged me to a hardcore show at the Right Track Inn. It was the first time I ever saw a live band in my life. And I remember we were standing there like talking to this weird dude. And, you know, I was like, I think I was 15, 16. So this guy
is this visually about right for that? Is that what
I would say? This is like maybe half a year to a year before that time. So I was
but in the ballpark.
It's in the ballpark, yeah. So I was kind of a skater, and you know, they dragged me to this hardcore show, and we were talking to this weird guy who had like tattoos and stuff, you know. And the guy said, "Hold on for a second." He walked on stage. It was Brian, the singer from Neglect, and that just blew my mind because that was the first time I ever saw something where it was like, you know, the crowd and the band were just one thing altogether. And I was like, wait a minute, if he's doing that, I could probably do that too. So that kind of, you know, I remember that show. That's also the first time I saw Skinheads at that show. Everybody was dancing, having a good time, and a bunch of dudes walked in and they had button-down shirts and they started dancing, and the whole crowd immediately was like, you know, they were just two-stepping, and the whole crowd was like, "Ooh, you know, who are these guys?" And I was like, "Hey, I like those guys. Those guys seem cool.
They command respect."
And also, you know, I was a nerd. So these guys walked in and they were tough, but they had like button-down shirts and stuff. So the first thing I did is I went back home. I had all my Sears like button-down shirts, my JCPenney button-down shirts. I brought them back out and I was like, yep, that's what I am. I'm Skinhead.
Yeah, there you go. You know, you mentioned something that really resonates for me, and I mention it a lot, is when I went to my first hardcore show, it was kids my age. And I was so used to the Rolling Stones, the this, the that. I was at a show and there was kids my age and interacting, and afterwards the band came right up to me and wanted to know who I was, and it was very powerful. I can relate. It was very powerful for me.
It changed my whole life. And you know, until then, I thought you had to be this guy who, like, you know, was some master musician, but these guys were like working class guys, you know. And up to that point, everybody basically in my entire life made me feel like garbage for being poor. Right. You know, society at that point was all about big gold chains. And if you were poor, it was the worst. I grew up in Brentwood in a garage with no heat, you know, so all this being rich and shit, it never really appealed to me. This is the first group of, can I curse, by the way?
Yes, you can.
Awesome, because I curse like a sailor.
You can curse, man, on my show. Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, this was the first time I was around working class people who were like, no, we're the shit. We're actually the best. And boom, you see it right there. That's like kind of where I got into this life. Of course, I never expected, you know, 30 years later, first of all, I didn't know I'd be alive, but I didn't think I'd be listening to the same stuff and doing the same stuff. But it just, you know, it was really a thing of like, that's who I was. And then a couple of years, I guess maybe later that year, this is a big year in my life. I was walking down the street again with my friend Ray. My friend Ray was there. We were walking towards my friend Ray's house where we used to have hardcore shows in his basement, you know, and we were just walking down the street, and all of a sudden a truck pulled up next to us. and the guy driving the truck had Oi tattooed on his ear. Where like, nowadays, baristas got like a sleeve and tattoos. But back then, nobody had tattoos,
Sure.
And it was the singer of fucking Oxblood. And in the passenger seat was Phil Templar. And that was
Wow.
like, so my friend Ray gave me that first introduction into it. And then Phil, he used to come over to my house when I was 16 years old, and we would just listen to records. And, he just taught me about, so much music and shit like that. It was awesome.
And Phil Templar's from Brentwood, Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He grew up like in walking distance of my friend Ray. So that's, again, I got to thank Ray again. I never would have met, half these people except for hanging out with them. Because, back then you couldn't just learn about this stuff on the internet. You had to know somebody who knew somebody.
Yeah. Now, and we've mentioned this too, is that, back then, especially growing up in a place like Brentwood, or a place like on the outskirts, all you would do is need to see is like that button or that one tattoo or part of that tattoo. And instantly it would be kindred spirits, I
mean, even in New York City, when I first started hanging out, like 91, 90, I'd say 92 or so, even when I started hanging out in New York City, if I saw somebody heavily tattooed a block away, it was either my friend or somebody I didn't like. It was
right.
I definitely knew them, guaranteed. So it's weird to me, how much that's changed. But yeah, it really was a thing where growing up on Long Island, there's no way you would have ever learned about this stuff. And then
I guess Heggs is right. He says in New York, tats were illegal back then. Basically, Navy, bikers, and punks were the only ones with tattoos. Whereas now, everyone.
My orthodontist has got sleeves. Yeah,
my mom's got like a face piece. It's like
love her first record. That first record was fantastic. Shout out to his mom. But yeah, I remember, like the first tattoo I got was like from this junkie Vietnam vet, in his kitchen.
Right.
And totally changed, but yeah, it was awesome. And then so I came out to the city. Phil introduced me to all the New York City skins, and that's how I started kind of hanging out here. So I was 16 years old, drinking beer on St. Mark Street, and then going back to high school on Monday.
Did you and this is just real quick, I like this bit too, you'd see a logo of a band on someone's notebook like in school. That happened to me, like somebody had like right out, and I was like, oh, that was it.
I saw a kid I went to like this like camp or something. It wasn't even camp. It was like you go for a couple of days when my grandmother was in the hospital, and they just sent me to this place. This kid had DK on his notebook, the Dead Kennedys thing. And I was just like, you and me, bro, we're in this together.
Yep, absolutely. What was the first live music? I mean, not necessarily punk, but like, what was the first live music that you saw?
That Neglect show was the first time I had ever seen a live band in my entire life.
Oh, wow.
I lived with my grandmother. Huh? Dude, I lived with my grandmother. We lived in a basement. My grandmother had 2 jobs. We had no money. We weren't going to, and in that point, I didn't know about punk or underground music. So to me, going to a concert, man, you had to $50 and drive to the city. And, so we weren't doing that. It never even occurred to me that I could see live music. It really was my friend Ray. He dragged me to that show, and it really blew my mind. I'd never stood in front of a kick drum.
Yeah.
And I swear half of the reason I'm still going to shows is that feeling of that live kick drum right in your stomach is nothing like it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you grew up with your grandma.
Yeah. My grandmother raised me from the age of 5, basically.
Wow.
We lived in Far Rockaway first, and then we moved out to Long Island. And so it was basically just me and my grandma out there, and being poor and not having a lot of I never thought I'd leave Brentwood, let alone be the fact that I've gone to like Germany and France and stuff like that, and I've done it with music, it blows my mind because nobody I knew traveled. Nobody I knew had a passport.
Yeah. That's yeah, and we'll get to we'll get to that stuff. Let me see. I somehow erased. I wanted to put your.
Can I go on a little quick tangent? I was looking for flyers to try to put for the show, and I found one flyer that was literally at my friend Ray's basement. We used to put on hardcore shows. It had my home phone number on there, which is like such a that shows you how different times were.
Yeah. I saw one recently that said, if you need directions, call. It's like
that's what they said. It was like, come to Brentwood train station, you can call me. Here's my number. It was a different world back then.
Yeah. I erased by accident. The IG address is @45 adapters.
That's all right. Yeah. We're basically on all the socials. Hey, I see the talk about bottom of the barrel. I got the tattoos on my arm. I don't know if BOTB. I don't know if I can put them right. I don't know how to do this right, but yeah.
All right, there you go. I erased it. So wait, getting to you're coming out, you're getting exposed to music you love. What inspired you to sort of start a band? What was your first band, and how did that play out?
Well, I don't know. I can breathe smoke. I don't know what his real name is, but my first band was Bottom of the Barrel. I still got the tattoos on my arm, BOTB. What happened was we were drinking. I know you're shocked to hear that, but I was drinking with some punks, and this guy Max Dutton was in the band. I don't even remember. Oh, it was called Free Beer Fuck You was the name of their like
free Beer Fuck You.
They had like a spiky hair, like doot band, and I guess they needed a singer, and I was like, I can do that. I can sing, and that's literally it. Went from that, and I would say a year after that, I was at CBGB's on stage singing again. You can imagine
with Bottom of the Barrel.
With Bottom of the Barrel, yeah, we played with the Casualties and a bunch of other guys. Yeah, so that photo is on my, I guess my left side. On the left side is my friend Kevin, who played drums in Oxblood and was a few other bands. And on the right with the Motorhead shirt is James, who was in Bottom of the Barrel with me. He taught me almost everything I know about music. He plays in Luger now as well, which is a fantastic band if you guys check them out. But yeah, like I mean, a year after this guy Max Dutton said, "Hey, you want to be in a band?" And I was like, "Sure." We were standing on stage at CBGB's, which, you know, again, for a kid from the city, that's not that big a deal. But for a kid in Long Island, Manhattan was a mythological place, you know. So be at CBGB's where like all these amazing heroes had been. I remember I saw the first, I think it's Where the Wild Things Are, where Paul Bearer's like passed out on the stage.
Sure.
Like the first time I stood up there, I was almost shaking because I'm like, this is where Paul Bearer was drunk there, you know, like it was amazing. And that from there, it just introduced me to a lot of stuff. That band broke up though after high school, and I was just like, all right, I guess, you know, I'm done with bands and that's about it. And then when I was 30, I just decided, I literally Googled, how do you start a band and how do you record music? I just, you know, wanted to get something done.
And so how did Bottom of the Barrel like play out? I mean, how did it come to an end?
So it was like our high school band, and just a lot was going on in life, and we just, you know, we were drunk kids who couldn't get anything organized, and I was a little bit of a prick at that point. You know, I'll be really honest. We had a record that was supposed to come out, and I just didn't get it organized, and I had an attitude with the label, and it wound up never. It's kind of just fizzled. So I just never felt like a musician. You know, with Bottom of the Barrel, I just was drunk. Somebody handed me a microphone. I just yelled out the first thing I could think of. So it kind of just fizzled out.
Sure. Who were your like early? But at this point, you know, what dare I say, you know, ska, oi, skinhead bands, what bands really resonated with you?
Well, the one that got me hooked, even before I met Phil, even before I knew that there was a scene in New York City, the first thing that really got me hooked is we used to go to a place called None of the Above Records in Ronkonkoma. And we literally, it was a couple towns over, which is not far if you have a car. I never had a car. I grew up without a car. So we'd take the bus there, then have no way to get home, and we'd skateboard home the 5 miles or whatever. But I went there one time, and this is after I had seen the Skinheads at that one show, and I saw a compilation that was like Best of Oi Volume 1 or something. And I took it home. I wasn't that excited about it, but the Cockney Rejects have a song called Oi Oi Oi, and it came off. And the song starts with, the kids, they come from everywhere, the East End's all around. And I don't know what, it hit me like a fucking, there's been 2 lightning bolts that have hit me in my life. One was Bad Brains, Attitude, and one was Cockney Rejects, Oi Oi Oi. And it just, when they said the kids, they come from everywhere, you know, I looked around, I was living in a basement with no heat, you know, sleeping on the floor. And for the first time ever, I felt like I'm a part of this working class thing. And really to this day, that every time I do a show, every time I play, every time I do anything, is that going back to that. But then also, you know, my dad was like a Rastafarian, so I was always into reggae and stuff like that. And I met these guys, and they liked this new, exciting music, but they also loved reggae too. It really felt like, you know, peanut butter jelly coming together. I'm like, we found my thing.
Sure. I mean, and you sort of had that, you know, inherently in your blood to begin with. So, you know,
I mean, if you think about it, you're a kid and you like punk rock music and reggae, and then you find out there's a whole group of dudes who dress like you. They like that stuff. They like drinking. It was, you know, fantastic. And nowadays, you know, I'm old and I got soft hands. I don't fight. I'm not going to be, you know, please. My fighting is verbally, but you know, at the time I was pretty angry, and these kids were all tough, and they wanted to walk around and just get into trouble. It really felt like a dream come true.
Yeah. Any other bands that like really resonated with you? And any other bands that you just loved early on and just sort of, you know, were big in your world?
Well, also Templars and Oxblood, because again, I bought those guys records.
And that's local stuff.
That's local guys, yeah. I bought those records at None of the Above Records, but it didn't occur to me that these guys were real people. It was almost like, you know, I used to collect comic books, and then I started collecting records. It never occurred to me these were guys who I could actually meet. So I met Phil that day. Phil introduced me to all the Templars guys, and all of a sudden I was like 16, 17 years old, drinking 40s on St. Mark Street with a bunch of these dudes who were the toughest, coolest dudes. They knew every band. They had the best record collections. They knew everybody. Templars and Oxblood really, I'll be honest, it shaped my life. That you know, the Templars have that song New York. That's literally what I did for half of my youth. You know, we would take the train to the city, walk down to Bleecker Bob's, stand out in front of Bleecker Bob's, walk over to CBGB's. It's amazing. I've stood outside drinking in front of CBGB's at least 500 times. I've been inside CBGB's like twice or something, 5 times. Because it's funny. We were talking offline about like, the drunk kids standing outside the show. And I was just like, yeah, that was us pretty much,
Yeah, that's what you would do. I was a master, I've been, in a former life, I was a master forger. So, I used to go down to CBGB's with a back pocket full of different color pens. And I had the ability to I could forge a stamp in 15 seconds and get me and everybody else in just that quick. I was actually going through my ticket stubs and came across a bunch of, I used to make counterfeit tickets to just get into Madison Square Garden and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going through all these stubs and I'm like, fake. Yeah. So
the horrible thing though is I could have gotten into most of these shows if I just asked, because most of the bouncers were skinheads, and back then it's gotten much bigger then, but back then there weren't a lot of skinheads, and everybody who was a skinhead had been down to fight. So you basically I remember we used to go to Wetlands and Rabies would just let in like everybody with boots and braces and the side inches. We just like drinking outside better. That was just kind of what we did.
Well, like we talk about community and culture, right? It's really it's just. You were part of that community, and that's what was happening in the early 90s. Was there a was it a little more segregated between sort of like, this is sort of the oi kind of punk scene, this is the hardcore scene? I know you mentioned Ray, but like, set the table for us.
It was actually the opposite. It was it was a smaller scene. So what you found, like St. Mark Street, you could walk down St. Mark Street and you would see hardcore kids, anarcho punks, peace punks, spiky hair punks, skinheads, rude boys. Everybody really, it was kind of embarrassing. I would be there so long that people would come meet me there. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm sure Gerard will be standing in front of Trash and Vaudeville." So it really was. You would see people with like communist T-shirts hanging out with like sketchy dudes. Everybody just hung out all together, and it was so. I grew up hanging out with just as many punk rockers as I did with Skins, and it really was a lot more mingled together. And I think nowadays it really is much more segregated, where you go to a show, everybody has their own little scene where it's just their couple group of friends. That's kind of what I like about, I've gone to a few of the Tompkins shows and the stuff that you guys are putting on, is you go down there and you see a kid who looks like 1986 skinhead cutoff shirt, like perfect. You see somebody else, you see just a good mix of people. Also, side note, you see a lot of black people, which I love, because that's one thing I'll say is in the 90s, I came to the city and half the scene, the Skinhead team, there was almost no white people. It was all black people, Spanish people, Asian people, A
lot of girls hanging out.
A lot of girls hanging out?
Yeah. It was very, it was different. But yeah, those shows that we do, I've said it before, nothing brings me more joy, because I know what it is, and it's what we're talking about. That feeling that you and I had of the community and the culture, and to be able to sort of recreate that theater, at my age, for these young people and people of all ethnicities and everything, it just brings me a lot of fucking joy, man.
Dude, and I love seeing that scene. I really was like almost like at tears. I was so touched by it, because it was about, I think that's one of the things I don't like. I hate to be like old man punching at the clouds, but that's one of the things I don't like the modern world. Everybody has it their way. Everybody just is surrounded by people who agree with them. And my whole thing is like, what? I don't care what you believe, what you do. In the end, we're all, especially if you're a poor or working class people, we're all the same people. So let's hang out, and you can be this, I can be that, and let's just hang out and have a good time. And I love that about it. Looking around, it just was a bunch. 45 adapters with an E, though. That's a big thing.
Okay. I'm on it.
I was so excited about that show. What is that band called? I can't remember. Winterwolf? Is that the name of that band?
Yeah.
Dude, that dude was like a mix of, I was stealing this from somebody else, but he was a mix of like Little Richard and Bad Brains. It was just, I love that. But again, that's what it was like when I grew up, is early 90s, and we were all street kids. There weren't that many people that you could pick and choose, And
absolutely.
We'd all back each other up. If you saw like a couple punks getting jumped by some like idiots or something like that, we would back them up. And it just was like, there was a sense of a community,
Yeah, for sure. And even though we're sort of talking about our world down there at the Bowery Electric and previously A7, it seems that in the kind of world we live in now, things are like, people ask me like, what's going on with the New York hardcore scene? And I go, well, which one? Right, there's 5 of them. Which one are you talking about? And people are like, well, what do you mean? It's like, it's really an interesting time we live in, because, we do our thing down there, And then those guys are doing their thing over there. And then there's the young kids that want nothing to do with what you and I are doing.
Yeah.
You know, and God bless them.
God bless them.
You know, they're doing their thing, you know. But
I love it. I mean, the one thing I would say is, though, I wish we could bring it a little bit more together just to mix and match. Because that's what, you know, whenever we play shows, I try to get female fronted bands. I try to get some hardcore bands, try to get the, you know, that to me is, it's great. I get that there's a bunch of scenes, but I think the more we mix it up and the more we meet each other, the better it's going to be. You look at these big scenes like the early Oi scene, the early New York hardcore scene, all these scenes, right? And what do they have in common? Well, you look out in the crowd at A7 or somewhere. I don't need to tell you. You can tell me better, but excuse me, sorry. Whiskey's going to me. But yeah, you look out at these shows and what do you see in the crowd? You see Agnostic Front. You see all these bands supporting each other and mixing it up. And that's what makes a great scene, you know? I also love when old people now are like, oh my God, there's no scene, there's no shows. It's like, just because you don't want to come out and just because you don't know where it is, doesn't mean there isn't. Because there's right now, way out in Brooklyn, there's a bunch of kids having a random hardcore show at some factory you'll never hear about, you know?
Say it. Absolutely, man. You know, whenever I hear, oh, back in the day, or, you know, it's not like it used to be, it's usually coming from somebody that, you know, doesn't live in New York anymore, doesn't come around anymore. You know, it's like, I don't know, I'm seeing it jumping off, you know, you know, it reminds me of like what my dad says. My dad he says, you know, about New York City, he said, you know, the only thing about New York that remains the same is that it's always changing. Your
dad is brilliant. Everybody who's, you know, I have some friends who are like in the Save New York movement, and and I respect what they're talking about. Hey, we were talking about Neptune Diners closing. That's a bummer. I get it. But New York City, that bar that you were pissed off that it closed, it was some other bar before, and some other bar before that. The change is part of what I love about this city, you know?
Yeah, I don't get too upset anymore when something closes, because really I just feel like, you know, one door closes, and if there's a need, you know, for something else, then a place like Gold Sounds opens up, or TVI, as long as, you know, or rooftop shows. So, you know, it's the law of supply and demand, right?
It's also just change. Like your dad is spot on. The only thing that constantly has changed. I remember I started hanging out again in 1992, 93. I'd walk around the East Village, and all the old heads were like, "The city's over, punk is dead." There's no, you know, this in 1992 they thought it was over. So it's amazing to me how, you know, one common thing you see is almost everybody thinks it was the best when they were like 18. Like it's just by coincidence. When I was 18, it was good. Now it's all over, and that's because you want to sit at home. I still randomly go out. Again, I went to the show in Tompkins Square Park. I go out to shows, and I still have a good time, and I feel the exact same way. You know.
Absolutely. Let's talk about 45 adapters. How did it come in form? How did you pull it together? What were the origins of 45 adapters?
Well, there used to be a reggae night at a place in Williamsburg that it's called the Drift now. I don't know what it was called back then, but it was a different bar. And we went every month and we hung out and we listened to reggae and rocksteady. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm way more a reggae soul person than I am punk or anything else. Playing a punk band, but you know, you see all those records back there. That's all reggae and soul and stuff. But I was hanging out with my friend Julio, and I was telling him I just Googled like how to start a band, how to make music, and I wanted to learn that. And he was like, I want to learn too. And what we both agreed is like, you know, we're all skinheads. We all listen to reggae. We all listen to soul. And nobody was really kind of mixing the reggae and soul with the oi and the punk. And so we were like, let's start a band and do that. And everybody, you know, we were drunk and we went around the whole place. Everybody we told that was like, don't do that. That's horrible. Whatever you do, don't go with that idea, you know?
Right.
It's kind of interesting now. There's been this whole like renaissance in the skinhead scene where you got bands who are doing new wave. There's a whole thing.
There really has.
Thug wave and boot wave, whatever. There's bands that are doing every kind of music you could think of under the skin umbrella. They're doing it. But at that point, everybody was doing that 90s brick wall. That was the only thing you could possibly do. So, you know, we would play shows and stuff, and people would literally. Sorry, I was reading the comments. Yes, we killed Niagara. I apologize. We did. Guilty. I'm sorry. It
was a great show. It was a great show.
Dude, I was so drunk. But yeah, we did kill Niagara. Sorry about that, Drew. My bad.
Well, drinking's a big part of what you guys do. So.
we killed Niagara. But yeah, you know, so it's amazing to me. But at that point, we were playing shows and people had no idea what the hell was happening. But you know, there's this whole idea that Oi is like this one sound and this one way of making music and stuff like that. But if you listen to the original Oi, like Cockspar, even Foreskins, they got a song "Waiting for a Friend." You know, like it was a big umbrella where it was all kinds of working class kids making different music. So anyway, we said we're going to do it, and we kind of stuck to it. Unfortunately, my friend Julio couldn't really keep up with the band. So we got a lineup together. We played a couple shows, and Mike Joe, who runs Long Shot Records, was a bartender at Iona. I was good friends with him, and I literally begged him to just put out one of our records, and he did. And it kind of took off from there. It snowballed. That was my only goal. I wanted to put out one record, and I was like, all right, then we'll be done. But it just
is this the original lineup?
No, that's the second lineup. So that's the Dress Well, Drink Heavily lineup. Yeah. If you have the Subway picture, that's actually our very first lineup.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got to dig it out. You sent me a lot of great shots. Were you just timeline wise? You playing guitar, was that something early on, or did that come into play a little later?
Oh, that was the first. I'm going to say. First 6-7 years maybe of the band, or it was a bunch of years. I just didn't even think of myself as a front man. I was just writing songs, and it was about playing those songs out. We actually played a show with the Templars about 7 or 8 years into the band, and I just kept stepping on my tuning pedal. You can see in the picture that little tuning pedal. Yeah, I kept stepping on it, and I got sick of it, and I threw my guitar on the ground. My friend James, my childhood friend, he was in Bottom of the Barrel, picked up the guitar, came on stage, and he was in the band, and that was the end of me playing guitar.
That's it. That's how it ended.
I did though. We played in Germany, and we couldn't get a guitarist for that tour, so I played there, which was pretty amazing. As a guy who started playing guitar at 30, it was pretty amazing to stand on stage in front of 1,000 people and play guitar.
What is happening with this shot here? I'm not sure what the context is. What's happening here?
So that was actually, I don't remember what show it was, but that was outside a show. I'm going to say that's probably 94. I was probably like 17 years old. It's kind of funny because you look at me and you look like I'm like a 25 or something. Like I think I was like 17 years old. So that's me standing right in the center of the photo is Dieter Mac Oxblood, who basically in the 90s, he was basically the king of the skids. He was the Black Joe Hawkins in the city. That's who we all hung out with. He really brought me up. He taught me a lot. Like he walked me around the city streets and kind of taught me about how to live. You see the guy in the black Fred Perry is my friend Kevin, who I said passed away of a heroin overdose. He was the drummer. I actually don't remember the names of most of the other people, but the two guys on my left-hand side, the top guy is John Raptis, who was the bass player in Bottom of the Barrel. And again, James, who you saw the picture of Munich was me and James in like 2015. This is me and James in like 1994 or something.
I like the gal on the left. Looks like she like wandered over from like the goth event. Like next door. She's like walking through. She looks like she's just walking through the frame.
I have no idea how we met that girl. I've always asked the question. She just showed up one day and was kind of hovering around. She was a really nice girl, though.
Yeah, there you go. The first was the first. Let me get to my notes.
James, that new Coxbar record. Sorry, am I okay? Is it okay if I read the chats? That James said the new Coxbar record is awesome. That record is fantastic. I got a copy on gold. That was I very rarely asked the label for stuff, but they gave me a copy of the gold one. It's a great record. It's our last record.
They're a great band.
That's my band. That's the band that I'm kind of obsessed with.
Is that right?
Yeah. We actually played with them back in I think it might have been 2015 or so. And we went backstage and I was like scared. Again, these guys are from England, which to me was like this, weird. Sure. Dude, I used to think Nassau County was like this cool place, So we went backstage and I was like nervous to see if these guys were going to have an attitude or something. They were the coolest dudes I've ever met. They were all busting each other's balls. It sounded like being on fucking with a bunch of New Yorkers. And I started like sneaking a little bit of their whiskey. They're like, take the bottle. They're some of the awesomest dudes I've ever met. They're just a great band.
Where did I see them in New York a couple years? Was it
Well, we played with them in Warsaw.
In Warsaw. I was at that show. So
a funny story. My wife at the time didn't know who he was.
I was at that show.
She didn't know who Colin was, so he came up and bought a T-shirt. She made him pay for the 45 Adapter shirt. Where meanwhile, if I'd been there, I would have been like, take the whole booth, take the records and everything. And dude, he wore that shirt. He wore it on the plane. There's pictures of him in Germany playing to like 1,000 people wearing the 45 Adapter shirt. It's fucking fantastic.
That's cool.
These guys are mythological people, and I got to be friends. Dude, I've hung out with the singer from Coxbar's wife, and we were doing shots, and what a life. For a kid who grew up in a garage with no heat, I've hung out with The Last Resort, Coxbar, Menace, Infrared, all these other bands that were like, dude, it was like I hung out with the Avengers or something. I think this whiskey is starting to talk to me a little bit.
I just found this in my archive. There you go.
Oh, we played. I think we played the one before that. Oh no, this is the last one. This is the last one.
Wasn't it 2 nights?
We played but we played the one I think that was 2 years before that. This was their second.
Oh, this is the one I went to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I DJ'd an after party after that one, and everybody at the after party was in a great band. It was one of those times where I looked down at the floor, and it was like every good band in New York City, and they were all like dancing to soul and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Any recollection in retrospect recording this album years later? You feel good about it? Has it aged well?
It's old, but again, for a kid who never thought he could ever make a record, that was mind blowing. And it was my songs. I had never written songs, and I'd never played guitar or written songs until a year before that record came out. So I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, of course, it's it's our first little. Our first foray in there, but that record took us all over the world. That record got us fans in Germany, and it was amazing. That's actually at the Williamsburg. That's the G train on Lorimer Avenue, which was like 2 blocks from my house.
How can you lose? How can we lose with the stuff that we use when the band shot is in the New York City subway?
What I love though is that we've never heard. You can see this band has never heard of an iron before, never in the history, and we thought we were smart as hell. We were sharp looking.
Yeah, and it's probably hot. And it's probably hot as fuck down there, right?
No, it was actually cold. We should have had jackets on.
It's either too hot or too cold down there, right? It was
freezing cold, yeah. And it took us a while to get that actual shot, but I was so proud of it. I stole that from the Jam had that record down in the tube station at midnight, so I always wanted to have something like that.
Right on. Yeah, where was that recorded? Here in New York? That
was recorded in my living room. So our first 3 records, I think, I used to live in a Metropolitan in Graham. And again, I Googled like, how do you record a band? And most of it was, we would record the drums in a rehearsal studio. And then the rest of it was all in my living room. Like the vocals.
How are you, wait, but this is in 2000, recording on what? On like a portable 4-track? Like
no, I had a laptop that I got from work. That was like it was an old IBM laptop. And then what I did is a friend of mine loaned me a bunch of microphones, and I'm not joking. I literally went on Google and I was like, how do you record music? And put those records out. The funny thing is we were in, I'm going to say Frankfurt, and this guy who's like a producer was like, what techniques did you use? And how did you record that? And I'm like, I didn't know how it worked. I literally it sounds, people don't believe me when I say it, but I just literally Googled what to do and I pressed the buttons.
And how did you get, I can understand everything. And how did you get the live drum sound? Would you just...
So the drums, we went to the old Sweatshop Studios was on Metropolitan Avenue.
Sure.
So what we would do is we booked 2 hours. I'd run in there. I'd put up my microphones, and we would record just the drums with nothing. Like I'd put it in his headphones. I literally had like an iPod or something, and we would record the drums, and the rest of it we did at my apartment. I mean, you can imagine my neighbors were not very happy about that.
I know that's friggin' awesome. How much did the record cost? It didn't. I did it on my laptop.
I was so bugged out when this guy was like, "Oh, it sounds good." I mean, they're really lo-fi and they're really rough, but same one. Don't Trust Anyone Doesn't Dance. I was recorded in my living room.
Yeah.
The bass line in that Don't Trust Anyone Doesn't Dance. Literally, our bass player came after work, came by my house. We had a couple shots. He sat down. He played 2 times, and that was the record.
Hey, who's to say? Sometimes these things you capture the moment. It's. We just demoed out a bunch of new stuff, and it's sort of like, why don't we just put this out? But let's not get crazy. But it's like, something can be said for let's just put it out and move on.
Well, I'm glad our last record we got to record, and we'll talk about that. But the last record we got to record in a great studio. It was an amazing experience. But I would have never gone into a studio. We didn't think we were like a real band, So if it was, we got to go into a studio, we just never would have done a record. But I literally just sat down and we made it happen. And I think a lot of the stuff we like, I listen to all soul stuff, even the Motown stuff, right? They had 2 microphones or 3 microphones, and it really was just about capturing that energy. So
and I've said before that one music that I really enjoy now, which I loathed in my youth, is disco. And it's like I love disco because I can hear the room now. Like in this whole like digital world we live in and all these recordings, I hear disco and I could hear the room, the warmness of the room. It's analog. I just love the way those records, a lot of those early disco records sound.
I'm not a big fan of disco in general, but that band Chic, in my opinion, Nile Rodgers, who's the guitar player from Chic, is the best guitar player on the planet. Sure. I love those first Chic records. I was actually at a record show.
Duran stuff. Yeah,
he did the Bowie stuff. He did a bunch of stuff. He did a Madonna record. But I was actually at a record convention a few years back, and I had a bunch of Rocksteady records, but I also had a couple of Chic records. And I saw like a kid came up and was like, "You're the guy from 45 Adapters." I was like, "Yeah." And I saw him look down at my records, and you could just see him being like, "I don't know how to compute this."
I don't understand. another, I guess, sort of in the timeline here. Is this was a split 7-inch?
Yeah, we actually met those guys again through Phil. Phil has been a huge part of my life.
Sure.
Phil was in that German band Stomper 98 for a few years, and he introduced us. They're really close friends, and those guys really did this 100% just to help us out, help us get kind of a following in Germany. Stomper 98 is a huge skinhead band. They like are on their last record was on the charts in Germany. That's how big skinhead is out there. It's kind of crazy. The first time I was in Berlin, we were just on the subway, and we ran into a gang of skinheads, like just randomly on the subway, because that's how it's a really big scene out there.
Right.
And that kind of, that established us that. And I got to thank the guys from Contra Records. They also put out our first records were on Long Shot in America and Contra in Germany. And they really did a lot to like get our name out there in Germany, which I appreciate.
At what point did, okay. I can breathe no smoke. 45 adapters, Iron Cross, Piston Broke, Stomper 98 was my bucket list set that I never thought would happen. Huh?
Dude, I remember playing with Piston Broke, and I love that Piston Broke record. And I all of a sudden I was talking to Scotty, and again, I have this thing where I have a hard time recognizing people from records,
right.
And I was talking to Scotty, same thing. It was very much like that Neglect story where he's like, all right, hold on. And he went up on stage and fucking killed us with like Piston Broke, which again, it's a poor kid from Long Island. I like that. Drunk and Broke is kind of the story. That's going to be the story of my autobiography.
Chucky Brown he just sent me a message. People, send messages.
Another old school dude.
Yo, Mr. Old School Chucky Brown.
Mm-hmm,
Wait, I got a little Chucky Brown icon here to put up before I show you.
Me and Chucky Brown have drank mini 40s outside wetlands back in the day. Mini 40s.
Check out what he just sent me. Boom.
Oh, very nice.
All right.
Very nice. Recorded in my living room. Very nice.
Right. You know what? I think, can I record our new record in your living room?
Hey, dude, we'll knock on the door. We'll see if they'll let us in. That's awesome, right. Dude. That's so cool. The guy who did that art, Corduce, also did our art that was supposed to be on the Bottom of the Barrel EP that never came out. It was so sick. It was like a picture in New York City with like these guys standing under a street light. That guy's an amazing like, graffiti artist, and he's like a straight up street kid. That guy's things have changed nowadays. Nowadays you can be in the scene and you don't have to be a street kid, but he was a straight up street kid. That guy's awesome.
Yeah, this looks like the like when we did the High and the Mighty demo. Like I had to dub them one at a time, like one and then two. Like this was not a mass produced demo. This was done on the deck on the A and the B deck. One
you hit the two. And every one of those covers is on the fucking library, photocopier machine. You just feed dimes in there.
Yeah.
I remember one time my grandmother was able to print some of them at her job, and we're like, we're going to make it now, boys. We're going to make it.
Yeah. Cool. Good going, Chucky. Thank you.
That's a blast from the past. I don't even own that. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I don't even. I saw one of our demos on eBay for like a good chunk of change. I was like, shit.
I didn't even know anybody heard of that. And I was in like some weird town in Germany. It was like some weird industrial town on a Thursday night. And these dudes came out to support us. It was, you could tell all these guys were working dudes. They were going to be going to the factory in the morning at 5 a.m. They came out, they bought merch, they supported us. And the one guy had the Bottom of the Barrel demo. And I was like, how the hell did that shit get from Brentwood, Long Island to like the middle of nowhere in Germany,
Yeah, well, as German music fans are passionate.
They love music. They support music. They spend their money. The Germans are fantastic. I've not met nothing but awesome people. They are a little blunt though. They'll be like, "Oh, you're fatter now than you were on the record," and stuff like that. But they support. They're so awesome.
Yeah, they're very blunt. It's like you go over there and they're like, "So tell us about the Cro-Mags, Harley and John fight. Is it true?" I'm like, dude, I don't know. Leave me alone with that stuff.
I remember actually this one dude came up to me. He's like, I like the first 245 records a lot. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I don't like the other records.
Yeah, exactly.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. So before we're going to take a break, but I want to cap off. So at a certain point, you kind of circled back and release the early stuff together as in one sort of grip. Explain what this release is.
Yeah, we couldn't believe it. The records actually sold. So again, I begged my friend Mike to put out the records, and that was it. Once we put out a record, I was like, I'm done. I've accomplished what I want to accomplish,
Sure.
But the records were selling pretty good. They were had sold out, some of them, and again, Long Shot approached us and they said, hey, we want to put together a compilation. So this is a collection of all of our first records, that split that we did with Stomper 98, and then 5 songs that we added in there that we literally just went in. Again, that wasn't recorded in my living room. That was recorded in Sweatshop. We went in there with, I think we had 3 hours, and we just did 2 drum tracks, two drum tries per song, and then everything else was just first take or second take.
You were ramping up your recording game, so to speak.
It was very fancy. We actually spent, I think the recording budget for that one was like $45 or something like that. So,
good Lord, man.
I don't want to be, too over the top, but it was about $45, I think.
Absolutely. Hey, let me take a sponsor break. Let me talk about some upcoming shows, and we'll come back and we'll talk about Dress Well, Drink Heavily, and make our way up to Unstoppable. All right.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, I'll see you in a minute. There you have it. Good one today. I hope you are enjoying. Let's hear from some of our sponsors. Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Will that be cash or debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles.
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
Video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young reader section here for like 10 and under. Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars! We are New York hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
And we're back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Welcome, everyone from around the world. I appreciate you tuning into the show today. Lee Bundy, how are you, buddy? I hope things are well. That said, want to talk about some upcoming shows. Big banger coming up a week from today. Danny Boy O'Connor from House of Pain, La Coca Nostra, The Outsiders House Museum, and Delta Bravo Urban Exploration Team. That is 1 week from today. So get ready, jump around, get down. A week after that, while we're in the groove, we will be talking about this book, Too Much Too Young, with the author Daniel Rachel, celebrating the release of Too Much Too Young. That is 2 weeks. A couple days after that, we just announced the show Tommy Rat DeRosa from Rejuvenate Warzone Trip 6. He has a book coming out called Punk Rock Revolution, an oral history of the New York hardcore and punk rock scenes as witnessed by a true fan. A couple days after that, rescheduled Chris Enriquez. I just saw him play the other night with Orange 9mm. He was out on the road with Spotlights and Julie Christmas. Looking forward to having Chris on the show Sunday, September 1st. The Sunday, September 8th, this is turning into like a book show. It's like Oprah's book club here. Vinny Stigma, the most interesting man in the world, celebrating the release of that book. Howie Abrams will be on as well on September 8th. This is yet to be announced. Andrew Vacante from Combust. We need to announce this on social media tomorrow. That's happening Sunday, September 22nd. And then we had to move this one back a little bit. This is a guy that has been very elusive. We had him booked. It didn't happen. We booked him again. He pushed it back. We are staying on this. We're gonna make this happen. Joey Shithead from DOA, big influence on my early hardcore world with that record Hardcore 81. So Joey will be coming on the show. That said, please support the show. Here is the Patreon page or PayPal. The show needs your support. Your support is what enabled the show to keep going and going. Hey, if you're I want to shout out latest patron Margaret Stambach. Also, if you are a patron and you are out there and you want one of the Back to the New York Hardcore Roots series shirts, these are free for patrons. Just cover the shipping. If you like one, reach out. There's a couple left. Patrons, free for patrons. It's one of the fringe benefits, one of the perks of being a patron. Look at it. It comes in ox blood. Back to the New York Hardcore Roots series. Yeah, here you go. This is more like it. There you go. Black, maroon. There you go. If you are a patron and you want a shirt, reach out and we will get you one. Just cover the cost of shipping. That said, we'll get into events on the next break. Everything okay in the chat room? Yeah. Okay, good. Let us bring our guest back on from 45 Adapters. Here we go.
Hey, man. Hey, can I disrupt the conversation for a split second? Our friend Ryan, who plays lead guitar on 45 Adapters, just had his baby girl this morning.
Oh, wow. This morning?
Just this morning. He just sent a message, 18 inches, 5 pounds, 12 ounces, healthy baby girl. So we're feeling good in the 45 Adapters family right now. I just had to throw that out there.
That's his first kid?
That's his second kid. His first kid is his son, who was literally like, he took himself into a shrinking machine. It's like a little version of him. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Good things happening to 45 Adapters. Welcome to the world. Absolutely. Congrats.
So we get that little girl a very small guitar, and we'll get her started.
Congrats. Well, this is a little early on, but you know what? Let's go there. It's that kind of a day. Jeff Bronk asks, where was your most memorable show and who was on the bill with the 45s?
We played a bunch of memorable shows. I've been very lucky, and don't take it for granted, but it was that Cox Bar show. Just not even so much just the playing of the show, but getting to be backstage with those guys, getting to see that they were just like us. They were just working class friends, having a good time and having a laugh. They had no pretentious attitudes. It was, I'll be honest. If I was in a band like that, I'd be walking around, puffing my chest. They were just the coolest guys ever. And then the second night we didn't play, we got to hang out with them, and I was on the side of the stage as they're playing all these songs that I heard as a kid, and at 16 years old I loved it. And I've always been kind of an Anglophile, so I got to sing "England Belongs to." That was probably the most impressive one. That was fantastic. And then I would say the second one was playing in Munich, Germany, because again we went out on a stage in front of about 1,000 people, and they knew lyrics that I made up, like on the 7 train and wrote in a notebook. They were singing all those lyrics.
Is that on this run here?
Yeah, that was actually the show. It's the second to last one, 9-10 October, the Polgarast Fest. Yeah. The best part of that was after the show was over, it was in this I don't even know what it was called, but it was like this place where they had a bunch of different venues, a bunch of different shows going on. We're drinking backstage. They're starting to close down.
Where was this? Hanover?
This was in Munich. No, this was in Munich.
I know a lot of the venues over there. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So, the show is kind of closing down. All the bands backstage, we're doing shots, we're drinking. This weird guy brought some weird pear liquor that got all the bands fucked up. And I happened to hear two-tone music, over a fence or something. So I brought all the bands, all these big oi bands, I brought them all over to this nightclub, and we walked in and they saw a bunch of guys walking in boots and braces. And the rest of the night, all they played was two-tone and fucking reggae, and we just had a dance party till like 6 or 7 a.m. It was one of those moments where you're like, holy shit, is this really happening? It was fantastic.
Yeah. Good. We're skipping around, but this is 2015, and I know this is a little bit further down the 45 Adapters timeline, but this looks like a really exciting run. Was this the first time that you like went over there of this magnitude?
Yeah, we'd done a few one-off shows where we went out and played, one festival or something, but this is actually the only tour we've actually been on. And it was, again, kid from Brentwood, never been almost anywhere. It was mind-blowing. Like, it was a really fun time. People were awesome everywhere we went, super supportive, like really supported the band, were really into it. People were singing the lyrics, and some of these guys would sing the lyrics, and then you talk to them, they could barely speak English, but they knew the lyrics of the songs and stuff. It was really fantastic.
Hegs asks, what was the scariest show? I mean, going over there, sort of playing that kind of music. Were you ever in sort of an awkward spot where it was like maybe the locals aren't happy about us or whatever? Was there ever a scary show?
Not really. There've been a few dudes who came up to me. I remember I forget where we were at one show in Germany. This guy came over, and I'm 6'2", like 240. This guy came over. He had to be 6'7", like 280 or something like that. The only time I felt a little weird, he was like, I used to be a Nazi, but I love your band. And that was a little, honestly, the scariest show we've ever played was in Connecticut, because it was at this place, Cherry Street Tavern, which is a fantastic venue.
Cherry Street
you go there,
Station.
Cherry Street Station. You got it right. Yeah.
It's still there.
It's an awesome venue.
It's still there.
But, we're from the city. We drove up there, and we're playing there in October, I think. But we drove up there, and all of a sudden we're on this weird street, and there's nothing around, and there was like a hay bale like on the other side of the street. And we're like, we thought we were getting jumped or something like that. That was a little nerve-wracking. Walked in the place and had one of the best shows we've ever had. It was fantastic. I love it out there.
Here's another. You sent me some great graphics. This was on that same 2015 run.
Yeah, that was actually, so that's the flyer for that show that you played the opening video from. They still have that festival every year.
Cool. This looks like a cool fest.
It was fantastic. And if you look at the DJs, all three of those DJs are just fantastic DJs. That guy, the Emperor, he's a guy who works at Cortex Records, if anybody's familiar with Cortex. But he's got one of the best reggae record collections on the planet. Yeah. Awesome DJ.
Yeah, and it must be great playing with Phil and the Templars.
There was a moment backstage where me and Phil looked at each other and we're like, what are we doing here? Two black kids from Brentwood. And we're performing in Germany on stage.
Who would have thunk it, right?
I mean, it's kind of ridiculous if you think about
it. Kind of going back a little bit. Any memories? Has this aged well? This recording?
Yeah, that's actually. That's the record that has opened most of the doors for us.
Okay, tell us about it.
Even to this day, that's the record that people listen to the most. It streams the most. That was actually the first time we actually went into a studio. That was the first studio record. Everything before that was Metropolitan Avenue in my living room. But we said, hey, people are actually buying the records. Let's actually put some money into it and try to record it. And also, those other records, I don't know what I'm doing. So they took me like 50, 60 hours to make. I was sitting there mixing them and figuring out. This was our first time in the studio, and it just blew up. I think this record, they did a bunch of pressings of it, and I couldn't believe it. People really loved it. Even to this day, we get a lot of attention and a lot of opportunities for that record. That's actually down by the Manhattan Bridge overpass, where now it's like a tourist area. You see a lot of tourists take pictures right there. When we went down there, it was better. It was in the 2000s or so, but it still was a little bit sketchy. It was still, again, there's an abandoned car right behind us, Right, nowadays, you go around there and you buy a sandwich, it's like $15 or something.
Yeah. You go down there and it's like cobblestone, like they fix the cobblestone streets and it's like really. It's really, they made it really nice,
I went to a wedding out there and I forgot my belt. I don't know what the hell was wrong with me. I showed up, I had my suit on, I looked good, everything's fine. I forgot a belt. So I'm like, I'll just go buy a belt. I went to the store, I picked up it was just a generic black belt. It was like $90. I put it down, I walked back. So, forget about it.
This one caught my eye. You guys playing with The Business?
Yeah, that was actually in, so if I would never leave New York, they will drag my corpse out of here. But the only other place I would kind of say is almost like home is Badalona. And it's in Barcelona and Catalonia. And that place is Estraperlo. It usually has the yearly Beach Beer Chaos show where you get a bunch of German skinheads, a bunch of French skinheads. You get all the core drunk skinheads in the world. We all get together there and drink on the beach and stuff like that.
They sort of, it's like a yearly migration.
Yeah, yeah, it's usually a good show. There's always amazing bands. So that was the one of the times that we played there where it was not the festival. But yeah, we played with Last Resort. I couldn't find the picture of it, but there's a picture with me and Roy Pierce backstage, like, you know, hanging out. And again, that's like a mythological person. The Last Resort was like, you know, that's one of the first records I got. I still got it. I love it. Those guys are like, it's like Batman and Robin or something. I got to hang out with that guy and do shots and stuff. It was awesome.
This is a great bill.
It was fantastic. It was a good show.
Yeah, I love these. And this, of course, you know, this must have been a blast. I guess was this a one-off you did, or a year or two before the TNT thing?
Oh, so that was actually in Connecticut.
Oh, that's right. This is what I'm sorry. I remember this. This is when it was I remember this in Connecticut, right?
It was like, I'm gonna say 4 or 5 years they had a yearly show, and it was like hardcore bands, punk bands, oi shows. It was some of the most memorable stuff I've ever done. It was amazing. People were getting incredibly drunk in like parking lots and stuff like that. We basically took over this town. It was fantastic. That show,
I love the show. Sheer Terror, the Templars, Stars and Stripes, Bishop's Green, Lions Law, 45 Adapters. Pretty great.
I mean, Yellow Stitches are a fantastic band from Connecticut. That was an amazing lineup. We actually went on super early, but that band, The Juke, I was obsessed with them. It's a band from the 70s. They never got really big, but anybody who likes glam, boot boy kind of music, it's one of the best bands ever. And they played that show, and I went crazy. I think a few of my friends are like, I didn't even like the show, but I liked watching you because I just couldn't believe that we were seeing them live. And it was like, funny story. So we drank that night until like 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and I'm like going back to my hotel room. It's like the morning, you know, and like we're in like, there was one hotel where all the bands are put up, and I'm just, you know, drunk, smelling like whiskey. I'm walking back to my hotel room, and I see the guys from The Juke are leaving. And I like ran over, and you know, you can imagine I was about 50 pounds heavier at the time, big black skin. I ran over, I was like, I love you guys. You guys are, you know, they're English, so they're like 5'4", and they're like, yo, what's going on here? It was amazing. I love that band.
Yeah, Napoleon says Juke Rule, Glam Stomp. What's up, guys?
That's a band and a half. They've, you know, it's funny because they didn't sell because it was a little bit too early. You know, I think like later on. Now, again, that's one of those bands now that everybody who's cool knows about.
And I guess I'm just pulling up a few flyers as conversation pieces because I like these flyers. I guess this is that same German run.
Yep, same German run.
Yeah. Cool. In Essen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Working class, same. Those big shows are awesome, but I kind of liked some of the smaller German shows because people couldn't really speak English. They were all actual working class dudes, but they all came out and supported, which is, you know,
another
amazing.
place is Stuttgart. You know,
we even played there.
No?
That's on the list of places I'd like to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I couldn't figure this one out. Upstairs at the legendary Dobbs is Dobbs in the
Philly.
UK? Oh,
No,
Philly.
that's Philly. So, you know, I'm a kid from New York, and I was raised. I'm no longer. I was a lifelong Mets fan. I was raised to hate Philadelphia. Like that was our. You know, I didn't think those were real people over there. They were just our enemies, and I hated them. We went out and played there, and I think this is like the second show we played or something. But we went out and played there, and they knew the words, and they were cool, and the beer was cheap, and I really loved it. Philly is like, you know, almost like a second home. I love that city. There were a lot of good people. The one thing I will say is we played Metropolitans, and they all turned their backs, which I respect. You got to respect. They're all Phillies fans, so that's always about how much better the Metropolitans are than the Phillies.
Well, Philly fans, sports fans, are notoriously vibrant and passionate. And you know, are you a sports guy? Or I mean, I know a lot of our boot boy oi friends are like you hammers, but are you a sports guy?
Not anymore. You know, all of my friends are hammers. Like literally, almost everybody I know is a hammer. And people just come up to me and assume I am. I kind of
did.
Yeah, I kind of was. I love Cockspar. They're a Hammers band. I love Cockney Rejects. They're a Hammers band, you know.
Yeah.
But I went to Bethnal Green, and I walked around that neighborhood when I was a kid. Not a kid, but, you know, teenager, 20s, whatever. And it's very similar to me. I'm a Mets fan. I was a Mets fan, but not because, you know, I object like intellectually like the Mets. My uncle was a Mets fan. My dad was a Mets fan. My grandmother, you know, it just, for us, it was our neighborhood and where we're from. And so I went out there and I walked around. I went outside the stadium. I walked around. I got a haircut from some guys from Ghana, and that's their neighborhood. That they're representing something that I was a part of. So I respect my friends. They love that shit. They die with it, but I'm not a fan. I was a huge Mets fan. I watched 140 Mets games a year. I went to like 10, 15 Mets games a year. You know, we would get drunk and like go to the Mets game and then like stomp around all over Queens and stuff. They introduced the designated hitter, and yeah, no, fuck that shit. I don't ride with that.
Yeah, baseball lost me after the pandemic. Chucky Brown says that you used to play street hockey.
I used to play street hockey all the time. I loved that shit until they started like wearing rollerblades, and I was like, yeah, I can't do that shit. But dude, it's a great sport. You get to slam into people and stuff. I was like, I'll do this professionally. Please let me do it.
There you go. Mike E says the February show in Philly, Upper Darby, was a damn good show.
Thank you, man. That dude is another OG. That guy's a OG skinhead for real. But that show was awesome.
An OG Philly skinhead.
OG Phillies. Actually, I think he's from Maryland, maybe, or I forget.
Okay.
But yeah, that show was awesome. There were like 3 different kids who came up to me and said that was the first show they've ever seen. So it took me back to that Neglect show, and like I got to be that guy for them. You know, it was awesome. There was one black kid who was kind of towards the back, and he was like, you know, you could see he was interested, but he was like kind of scared to come forward. And by the end, he was jumping around and shit, and it was fantastic.
Tell us about this guy. Turns up in a lot of photos with you. Tell us about your relationship. Who is this? And tell us about your relationship with this man.
So that's Carlos. He was in like the 3rd or 4th lineup of 45 Adapters. He's from Colombia originally. He's my brother. I mean, really, the only reason why we have this band right now is because of Carlos. You know, the last lineup blew up through some personal stuff. It had nothing to do with music. It was just like, you know, a bunch of drunk street kids. We were having some issues, and I was like, you know, maybe that's been the time. I'm an older guy. Nobody wants to see, you know, these old guys on stage. I was ready to kind of let it go, and Carlos said, no, we're not stopping. And I try to listen to what Carlos says, and he's been right all along. He got this new lineup together, and
is this that lineup?
No, this is the one. This is the last one before the end.
But before the Armageddon.
There were 2. No, there were 2 more after this. I'll be honest with you. People get sick of me in about 2 years, usually, I guess. But so it was this lineup. Then we had one more lineup after that did a bunch of stuff, put out one record. When that came to get, you know, kind of finished, I thought it was kind of over. But Carlos said, no, we're still doing it. And we had a jam session to play one show with a drummer who's literally going to fill in Mike Stooley, who's in Urban Waste. He's in a bunch of great bands. He's honestly one of the best musicians I've ever even been around, let alone play with. He came and jammed with us, and it was one of those things where he went 1, 2, 3, 4. We started playing, and it, you know, if you're a person who loves music, you know when it's special. And Carlos said, all right, now we have a drummer. We're making a band. We got one guitar player. We got another guitar player. This all happened like, I guess, a year ago in August or something. And in October, we recorded that record, Unstoppable. Like that's how quick it really was.
So let's go there. I have a shot of the latest lineup. Let me go. Where is it? Oh, here you go.
Dude, I'm pretty psyched to be on the show. There's a lot of like, you know, really famous people on this thing. So again, thank you again, Drew. I appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure. I do it because I love it, and you're a very coherent guest, so I appreciate that.
We'll see. I'm about 3 whiskeys in. We'll see how we go.
Yeah. We got another We got another 35 minutes. Is this so? The latest lineup is a 5-piece.
Yeah, this is the current lineup. The guy all the way on the right in the camo is Stooley. He was the first person who kind of made us think, hey, we need to keep this going. Ryan, who's like dead center, he's right in front of me, who just had a baby, Madeline Rose. So happy about that. He came in and jammed with us, and it was the same thing. We're like, oh, let's see how it works. 1, 2, 3, 4. He started playing. It was like, it was fantastic. You know, the like hairs on my neck stood up and stuff. And then finally, Jamie, who had been in Guns and Don't Run, he's been in a few big hardcore bands. He came in and he was like the 5th piece. And literally, the second practice we had, I'm like, we're recording an album. We're gonna do it. We'd actually tried. So Unstoppable was supposed to be it was supposed to be just a 2 or 3 song EP first. We got this new lineup together, and I just started coming out of me. It's just something about this lineup that's just literally, it's like magic. It's amazing to me.
And this is the cover. Tell us about the recording process and the cover.
I'll go backwards. So the cover was recorded. We woke up hungover one day, and I called my friend.
Can I make a guess on it?
Yeah.
Is this the abandoned psych place out in Long Island?
No, but that is a good guess.
Or is this the one? This isn't the one on Randall's Island, is it?
No, this is in Brooklyn. It's actually It doesn't look anything like that. It's funny you bring up, not to go on a tangent, but it's funny you bring up that it's Pilgrim State Hospital out there.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah.
When I was a kid, we didn't have a car, so when we went to the movies, we walked through. Me and my grandmother would walk through Pilgrim State Hospital to get to the
Wow.
movie theater, which,
Wow.
now as an adult, I'm like, what the hell were we doing? There were literally like crazy people walking around. But no, this is actually some random place in Brooklyn. So we woke up and I had this picture was in my head. Like I actually have like a line drawing of where I exactly had this whole idea in my head. And it was just the idea of like, nothing's going to stop me. I'm going to keep fucking going. So we woke up, we were all hungover. We picked up my friend Hiromi, who's kind of a famous dancer on YouTube. Araniva is her page. We picked her up. She was hungover too, by coincidence, and we just drove around Brooklyn. And I had this picture in my head. We found this place, and my girlfriend literally like boosted her up onto the fence, and we took this picture. But yeah, we took that photo before the record was even recorded. It was going to be an EP. The lineup blew up, and then we got this new lineup, and we literally I think it was September. I said, I'm going to write a whole record. We're going to record in October, and I booked it. And that weekend came, and I'd written a whole record. And these guys, every practice, they just picked up. I would say, "Here's a new song," and they would just pick it up. And again, I'm not gonna, not trying to suck anybody's dick, but Stooley is like 90% of it. He's just such a good drummer that whatever you play, whatever you do, he makes you sound good, and he brings it together. And so we went out and we went to Noisy Little Critter Studio. Our friend Mike, who's in Duffy's Cut, runs it. That's out in Pennsylvania. He's got like basically a barn, and what you do is you just go there and you stay there. It's like camping out. So we went there on Friday night. One of our cars broke down on the way there, like right in Ridgewood. We piled everybody in a little tiny car. We were all on top of each other. We drove out there and we recorded a whole album in 2 days. Literally, I did all that singing in 12 songs in like one day. And I'll say I feel good about it. Most of the records, I like them. There's good parts, there's bad parts, etc. But if this was the last record I ever put out, I feel like I've put what I do like on the out there in the world. So I'm super happy.
Yeah, absolutely. In doing my homework for the show, I listen basically when I have a guest coming up the whole week. I listen to their stuff, and on Spotify, I guess in the order where things are or what's getting the most listens is Unstoppable, and it's coming. It came up again and again. It's a great track. It's a good calling card.
We've got a lot of positive feedback from that, and this is actually so we've been together 15 years. This is our first time doing an album, and the reason why is I just hate records where you get the album and it's like 12 songs that are the exact same song. So we really. Yeah. I like to put out 2 or 3 songs, maybe 4 songs, maybe 6 songs is a lot, But I'm really proud of this record because I think there's not one kind of sound. You go through this, there's all kinds of different music and all kinds of different things, and I'm really proud of it. I'm happy with what we did. And again, 2 days is not a lot of time. Anybody who's in a band knows 2 days to record 12 songs is it was magical watching it happen.
Is it harder all these years later to sort of lyrically come up with stuff without repeating yourself?
It is, but the thing about me is I throw out more songs than I put out. I don't, I could, so Dress Well, Drink Heavily is kind of the song that people love, I could write Dress Well, Drink Heavily. I could write 20 of those songs right now. I could pump them out, but I throw them out. I really only want to do something that is almost bad. I want to try experiments and put myself out there. That's again, all this original music we love was guys who didn't know what the rules were, going out there and trying stuff. So I throw out, like I said, I throw out more songs than we actually put out. Because if it sounds like another song, I'd rather, you've heard it already. I'm not going to put out Dress Well, Drink Heavily Part 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Is this? No, I showed you this shot. I'm picking through a couple of photos. This, I know this isn't the latest lineup, but in going through all the pictures you sent me, being a New York guy, I really like this shot.
I used to walk over that bridge. I'm going to say every other day.
Yeah, is that Manhattan Bridge or Williamsburg Bridge?
That's Williamsburg Bridge. Yep.
Yeah.
I used to live right on Metropolitan. I would if I had to go to the city for any reason, I would literally just walk over that bridge.
Yeah.
Super love it.
Yeah. Good one. What?
I hope you see that constant, and then there's a Colombian constant, and all this good shit that's happening. It's Carlos, dude. Bogota, keeping it going. He's had a huge impact on my life. He's the younger brother, but I feel like sometimes he's the older brother because he's always got the right advice about this. We need to do this. We need to do that. And every time I roll the dice and I follow his advice, it works out pretty good.
There seems to be a real passionate, hard Colombian skinhead community. Carlos. There's what's his name, Authentic, who puts on the shows here.
Toby, yeah.
Jorge.
There's a whole
and-
scene. I love those dudes. I actually got to go to Bogota. Our friend JD had a band called Urban Noise out there. That not Urban Noise, it was this other band. I forget the name, but I went out there for like 2 or 3 days, and those guys are really living it. It was like being back in the 90s. It's a little tangent story, but we were out there on this place called 86th Street. We were drinking aguardiente in the street. We were drinking beers. We were hanging out. And some dude, I don't know what the guy was thinking. He decided to like pickpocket a skinhead. And so he got caught and they fucked him up, right? Okay, so the cops come. This is like in the middle of town. It's not, far out somewhere. The cops came. They're like, going to arrest the guy or something like that. And my friend just got pissed off. He went, pushed the cops out of the way, took the guy and fucked the guy up again, like right in front of the cops, So
Where
they
was
arrested him.
Where was
this is my a friend of mine who lives in New York.
Where?
Oh, this is in Bogota, Colombia. Yeah. Where there's no law. So I'm freaking out. My friend gets arrested. I'm freaking out because I don't even speak Spanish. I'm in the middle of Bogota. I'm drunk off aguardiente. I don't know what the hell, there was just a fight. I don't know what's going on. I'm freaking out. One of the guys comes over. He's like, calmate. We went to the liquor store. We bought more liquor, more aguardiente, more beers. And we went to the police station and we sat outside the police station and we drank. And then we saw the guy who got beat up, the pickpocket, right? We like blew kisses at him and waved. Our friends came out an hour later and we kept drinking. It was...
What is aguardiente? What is it?
It's like it's kind of like grappa or something. It's like a licorice kind of liquor, but it's very dangerous. Very dangerous.
I remember years ago when I was out in we were in Prague and it was anisette, oh man.
The aguardiente, it's got that similar kind of like black licorice taste, but
that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of that. Yeah.
The aguardiente is very sneaky because you have one or two and then you wake up and you're on the curb.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things like,
Yeah, it's like it's like eating what is it? I forgot the pill. It'll come to me. Let's see. And here's it's Colombia's national drink. It's made of anise.
Anise, yeah.
Anise?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh boy, everybody's chiming in on this stuff. It's the most lethal stuff I ever had. Clear fuel.
I don't like it. I'll be honest. I do not like it, and yet I've had some of my favorite times on that.
Look at all
I went to see Colombia.
All our guys chiming in on this. I never even heard of it.
Oh, people have had some experiences. I always say to them, like, I don't want it. I'm not gonna have any. Or I'll have one, or I'll have two. Next thing I know, we're doing some crazy shit.
What? Just a little show and tell. What is happening here? Who's in this shot?
So that's actually again, I think I was doing that 2015 tour. The guy who's like right above my shoulder is Waddy, who's the singer of Lion's Law. He's in Rixa. He's in Squillette. He's in like 80,000 bands. There's a band that their name escapes me, but they put out one record, which I think is like one of the greatest oi bands ever. And I was talking to Waddy about it, and he was dying laughing. I'm like, "What's so funny?" It was a joke band that they started with one of their friends who's just a hooligan. He's not even a musician. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna make a record for you." One of the best records I ever heard in my life. I can't think my brain is a little melted here, but and then you got the guy in the blue shirt is from Comintern Sect. There's a bunch. This is some of the French oi elite.
Yeah,
use that term.
That sort of reminds me of like the band SOD and Billy Milano when they did this joke thrash record. And it just blows up. And now those guys like have this albatross around their neck. That they made this joke record that people like perceived as the Bible.
Well, that French scene in Paris is it's just unbelievable. It's like so good. There's so many different bands and they all sound different.
I'm trying to remember the name of the Italian band I saw with Sick of It All down in Jersey a bunch of years ago. They have an odd name and they were fantastic. For some reason, they're like a pub oi rock band, and I see they're coming back to the States again. Yeah, Judah? That's it. You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
We played with those guys in the East Village a bunch of years ago. Our guitar player was like obsessed with it. Actually, side story. I think I'm a little drunk. Side story. They played in Asbury Park when they had that Hollies in the Sun or something.
Yeah, that's the one I saw. That's what I saw.
I did mushrooms. I did mushrooms with the guy who plays drums in the Brimstones. He's in the High Stride now, and we were at that show, like jumping around. Like it was one of the best shows I ever saw.
I saw that show.
They did Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, and it was like,
yeah,
it was awesome.
I was there with my kid. I brought my kid, and we went, and he'll always remember that he was a young boy then, and it was. I also brought him. I brought my kid to see. Remember when Stiff Little Fingers played the Grand Victory? I brought my kid to that. He was 11 years old, and Sean Dixon put us right in the front. And
SD.
For an 11 or 12-year-old, that was pretty powerful,
Dude, Grand Victory was like my home away from home. I love that place. I used to just go there randomly, not even just for hardcore shows or punk shows. I would just show up and hang out with all the bartenders were like scene musicians, and like everybody there was awesome. It was one of those places where if you're going to spend your money, you might as well spend your money supporting a place that's actually run by people in the scene. And they had a bunch of great shows there. We played a bunch of great shows there. I love that place. It was actually funny. We played. You remember that blizzard that happened a couple of years back? Yeah. We were supposed to play a show there. Got canceled because of the blizzard. Like the mayor was on TV, like, don't go there. I walked from Sunnyside to Williamsburg, and I was like, all right, I'll just show up and drink. Halfway there was an ambulance stuck in the snow, and me and a bunch of drunk Russian guys who were literally, they had like a bottle of vodka, pushed the ambulance out of the like snow and got it out of there. Walked all the rest of the way. Oh, Sally Mae right in the front, and her daughter.
We played this when I was in Antidote. This was like the last hardcore show at the Grand Victory, I believe.
Man, there's a lot of my friends in that photo. Dead center Sally Mae, one of the best singers in New York.
Yeah, she's got a great
girl.
Voice.
Her daughter, above her,
Jamie York.
Jamie. Jamie actually took the photos for our new record, Unstoppable. And I was like, dude, do you think you could maybe take a photo for us? He's like, dude, no problem. I'll show up. And I was like,
Matt Melnick in the front, Rat Bones. Yeah. Yeah, that's a weird thing. Grand Victory closes, right? Mm-hmm. And it's still empty to this day.
It's still fucking empty.
The fuck,
and
man?
What are they doing? I don't understand. Like that place was making money. It was always packed. Like, it's kind of it's a shame. I could see if they put something new there and they're making money, but it's just a hole.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's so weird, but I guess landlords in New York, they here's I think the last time we played there. It looks like I'm taking a crap on the bar. But nice. We played there a bunch. It was a great room. It's so sad when places like that close and yet they just sit empty. Like, what's the fucking point, man?
It's all bullshit with the landlords. Or they can make a lot of money just leaving it, basically writing it off for taxes and waiting till somebody can pay a lot of money for it. But it's a shame. That whole place there, you remember Trash Bar was right across from there. So that was like an awesome hang. And then there's a Spanish social club right there. So we would literally go between the three of them. We'd go in the Spanish social club and like drink, Heineken's for like $1, then go back to Trash Bar, then go to Grand Victory.
It was like that corner, that right, those two places, it was like a little hub of musical activity. Both places closed, and it's like a dead zone now. Like, it's fucked, man.
There was also Food Swings. The vegan restaurant was right there, so you could get real nice and drunk, and then go have some, vegan fast food. It was fantastic.
Do you remember where this was?
Yeah, that was actually in Milwaukee. So I've never been to the Midwest. The Midwest was like a mythological place for me, really. We got to play a festival out there. The only bad part is we got so drunk. I feel like I'm talking a lot about drinking. I apologize, but we got so drunk on the airport there that like an hour after you see the shot, we were all passed out. But it was amazing. We went out there. People were cool as hell. This show was actually at a convent. There was like a quinceañera happening at the building right next to us while this show was going on. But it was awesome. Like all the guys out there like knew the words. There were girls up front singing, which is my absolute favorite thing. And it was a fantastic show. Later that night, this guy came up to me. He's like, hey, will you play at my house? And we were like, of course we'll play at your house. So we went to like the ghetto, and this guy had a basement in the ghetto. The bathroom was literally a trowel in the back of the room where everybody was just like pissing out in the open. It was like 12 people there. It was one of the best shows we ever played. The ceiling was like, right there. It was fantastic.
Those are fun. Hey, let me take a quick final sponsor break, and we'll come back and we'll take some questions from around the world.
Awesome.
There you have it. This is the one, the only, often imitated, never duplicated, New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today is Gerard Lindsay, and from 45 Adapters. We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, and Mad Vintage. Mad Vintage buys, sells, and collects band shirts, primarily hardcore. The DIY operation was started and is operated by a hardcore kid who just loves collecting and eventually got into vintage clothing, specifically the realm of vintage band shirts. They are always looking to buy out collections to either keep, sell, or trade. New shirts added daily at www.madvintage.com and posted on Instagram. Dig deep into that closet of crap and reach out to them. Help me help you, Mad Vintage. Last but not least, Joe Ramini and the Texas Silver Rush. The Texas Silver Rush is a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design, create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock Roll Hall of Famers Gregory Ringo Starr, and of course, my friends and yours, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. Hey, if you have questions for our guest, please feel free to post now. Anything is fair game here. Post up. Let's go. What else? I want to mention upcoming events. Here we go on some upcoming events. August 8th, 9th, and 10th, Savage Mountain Punk Fest. ID will be playing Friday, August 9th, down in Mezzo's Underground in Cumberland, Maryland. If you are down literally in that neck of the woods, please come through. Sunday, August 18th, free, all ages Sunday matinee at the Bowery Electric. If it's free, it's for me. Fury of 5, Freya, Concrete Ties, Ancient Domains, and Deadshot. Thursday, September 12th at Rough Trade in Rockefeller Center, I will be moderating the Too Much Too Young Two Tones record story with author Daniel Rachel, who is coming in from the UK. This is going to be a very, very cool event. Sunday, September 15th, free all ages Bowery Electric matinee with Scream, Rebelmatic, Butterbrain, The Errorists, and Lake Lanier. Sunday, October 13th, reaching into October now. Once again, free matinee at the Bowery Electric. ID, Winterwolf, Midnight Foolishness, The Phoenix Within, and Gunk. Saturday, September 7th at Bridge 9 Records in Beverly, Massachusetts. I will be moderating Vinny Stigma, the most interesting man in the world, Christmas birthday book signing and Q&A with Howie Abrams. This is going to be a fun event up at Bridge 9. And of course, we just announced at the beginning of the show, Sunday, December 17th, Women of the Pit presents our annual holiday slamboree at the Bowery Electric. Non-residents, My War, Fire is Murder, Shoot to 5, and Serial Poets with DJ Cindy Halfrat. So all that is going on. Also, please follow the show. Subscribe to the channel if you are watching on YouTube. Please, there's a button right there. Subscribe to the Stone Films NYC YouTube channel. Also, follow us on Instagram at Stone Films NYC. Follow the show. I think I covered everything. Give the show a like. I am told that helps. Follow me on Instagram. Reach out to me anytime. I am an accessible person. This whole thing I do is based on accessibility. So if there's a question I can help you with or some perspective, I'm out there. Thank you for watching the show. Let me return the favor. Please. Also, you know what I didn't mention? Sadly, Organic Grill closed their doors. So if you are looking to sponsor the show, along with New York Hardcore Comics, the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, and Mad Vintage, there's room on the boat for one more sponsor. That could be you, my friend. So reach out if you are interested. That said, I think we covered everything pretty much. Oh, if you're a patron, also, all you patrons out there, reach out to me. It's free for all patrons. There's a couple more Back to the New York Hardcore Roots shirts. These are, we were selling these at the Bowery Electric the other day. They are free for all you patrons out there. So reach out, just cover the shipping costs. If you are interested, don't sleep on it. That said, post your questions for our guest, please. Let's bring G back on from 45 Adapters.
Hello.
Let's do some questions. They're always fun. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Pat Baldwin asks, favorite French street punk band, past or present? Good one.
In my opinion, one of the best oi bands of all time, Camera Still Ends. the whole first record is fantastic. The best song on there is Squat, in my opinion. The weird thing is that band actually got popular with hipsters a couple years back. I saw I was riding my bike through Williamsburg, and I saw two different like hipsters wearing Camera Salins t-shirts. Like when I first got that, I got a tape of a tape of a tape, and that was how you had to like get it. But yeah, that band is fantastic. That's probably my favorite French band of all time.
Cool. Let's see what else.
If you like French Oi, Syndrome 81 is playing pretty soon. They're a fantastic band.
Is that here in New York?
Yeah, that show's in I think it might be at the Meadows or Monarch or maybe TBI. It's coming up soon though. Should be a pretty good show.
Hey, Count Ralphus, good to see you. In your opinion, is the Oi scene bigger today than ever before?
I'm going to start an argument that I've had with a bunch of old heads, and they hate me for saying this. This is the golden age of skinhead music right now.
Good for you.
The golden age. Everybody wants to be like, it was better at this time, that time. This is the golden age of skinhead music because, in the 80s, that's the original stuff. That's the real original. Cockney Rejects to me and Coxbar are the best. But there were like 5 good bands, maybe 10 good bands, maybe 15. Right now, I could not tell you. I couldn't list all the good bands in Paris. That's how many good bands there are. And there are bands that are doing glam. There's bands that are doing New York hardcore. There's bands that are doing punk. There are bands that are doing new wave. There's all kinds of stuff. This is the golden age. I can't even keep up with all the amazing bands that are around. And it's also, there's young dudes and there's old dudes. I just played with the Bad Terms guys. They're from Canada. Some of the older guys, they're playing fantastic kind of like heavy rock and roll kind of stuff. Like this is the golden age. If you like skinhead music, this is the best time to be into it.
And I think it reflects in the fact that there's bands like Conservative Military Image and stuff like that are just blowing up. They're just, I don't even want to say Conservative Military Image is blowing up. They've blown up.
They've blown up. Dude, look at Violent Way. Those guys are, and I'm not going to pretend to be best friends with those guys, but they're awesome dudes. They're humble. They deserve it. They're blowing up. The Stress from Long Island. I love the fact that I'm friends with those guys because a year from now, everybody's going to be pretending they always love the Stress. The Stress are going to blow up. They're a great band. Great musicians, great music. They're doing interesting stuff, And like I said, when I came up, you had to, if you were going to do Oi, you had to follow these exact rules and just do the same stuff. And nowadays, people are doing all kinds of amazing stuff, which is fantastic.
It's really a vibrant time for the genre. Absolutely. CMI is great. They're doing well. Let me see. Thank you for introducing me to Camera Silence. Am I pronouncing that right?
Camera Salins. Yeah, that's
Is that the proper spelling? Camera Salins?
Camera Salins. It's a French band. The singer of that band robbed a bank and then disappeared for like 20 years. It's really, it's not with Skinhead music. They're all punk rockers, but it is, in my opinion, it's one of the best Oi bands, period. It's easily the best French Oi band of all time. Like if you like any kind of Skinhead related music and you don't have that, go listen to it right now. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Dude, I love Inspector 7. Those are my homies. I've been friends with Inspector 7 since like 92, 93. It's funny. We went down and played a show. I'm answering my own questions, Alva.
I didn't even see that. Oh, here it is. I didn't even see it. No, please go right ahead.
We went down to play a show in, I think it was in North Carolina back in the late 90s or whatever. And we drove all the way down there. We got to this bar and we were just having our first drinks and stuff. And I don't even know what kicked it off, but some locals saw these weird looking guys from out of town. They decided they wanted to start fights with us. And it was a very, very bad mistake. It turned into like one of those fights from the movies. It was really, it was fantastic. It was a really funny time. Some guy got hit in the head with a pool cue. Yeah, I've known those guys for 87 years.
It was like a Wild West brawl.
It really was something like a movie where you look back. Again, at the time, there was just stuff happens. But now I look back on that. The funny thing, too, is so we left and we're driving and all of a sudden we're terrified because we're in the middle of fucking North Kakalaka. We just got into a huge fight. The cops pull us over. We're all drunk. And it's a bunch of skinheads in there. And we were terrified. Like, what's going to happen? And the guy's like, oh, we'll drive you back to where you're, the place that we were staying. And we're like, oh, shit. So we think, they're going to drive us back and arrest everybody. They just drove us back and said, have a good night, boys. And that was it. It was a fun time.
It happens, What else we got? Keep them posting, kids. Rick asks, how is the Pirates press relationship going? Plans moving forward?
I love those guys. They're fantastic. I'll be honest with you. We're not a big band. We're like the world's, 17,000 most popular Oi band. Nobody really wants to hear a big black middle-aged guy skinhead singing about love songs and stuff like that. Pirate Press, they really just support us out of love because we've been part of that family for so long. And I cannot be more thankful to those guys for all the hard work they put into it. And they're just cool dudes. We went out there and they treated us like family. And I love those guys. We'll be with them until they stop wanting to put out our records. I'm gonna start writing the next record right now. I'm feeling really motivated and excited. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from this last record. It's been playing on Sirius FM radio and stuff like that, which it's been awesome. So I'm motivated. I'm ready to write the next one.
You're very modest, and I respect and appreciate that. But one thing that always came across to me is your passion and your love for what you do, and that goes a long way with people, man. You're true to form, and I think people pick up on that. And hey, it's like I say, I might not have made the biggest films, but I know what it's like to make a film and get up there in front. I might not have been in the biggest band, but but I know what it's like to get up there in front of a room full of people, and I appreciate everybody that was in there, and I feel you just have an inherent love for what you do.
I don't feel different than the first time I was 16 years old and I heard that drum set get going, and I just appreciate it. I mean, I know the people. We don't have a million fans, but the fans we have, dude, there's like 15 people who have like 45 adapters, tattoos and stuff, That's
awesome.
I love it. I love it. I've gone to so many places and made friends. I take it as a point of pride that this poor kid from Long Island, I can go to places in Spain, Germany, France, all these other countries, hang out and have friends there. And it's all kind of similar people to me who, grew up with no money, grew up thinking they had no opportunities, and we built this thing. And I take a lot of pride in that. I think a lot of people are into the skinhead thing for a couple years and they move on. They're too good for it. But I love it because it's a bunch of people just like me. And we built our whole thing. That picture is actually from a little tiny bar in Germany that we played on like a Wednesday. And it was a bunch of working class guys.
Great shot, yeah.
A bunch of working class guys who came out. I think it was like a 15 people crowd or something. It's one of the best shows we ever played. I love it.
Pat Baldwin asks, any bands on his bucket list to play with?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I've played with like the best of Oi. I don't know if there's
cool.
one. I don't know if there's one that I'm still. Oh yeah, the Belltones. So I missed out on the Belltones. I'm gonna admit it. There's so many great bands. I never really listened to them. I went to their show. My friend Carlos's other band, Veneno, which is New York City Latino punk oi stuff. You got to buy. It's fantastic. Another sick drummer. They played with the Belltones, and I liked the Belltones before. They were pretty good or whatever. They killed it live, and since that show, which was 2 months ago, I've listened to that Belltones record, Cheap Trinkets, every single day. I love that record. That guy is a goddamn tortured genius, and I love it. That Belltones record is fantastic. I'm actually, side note, I'm going to take, there's a song called Better Than a Kick in the Head that's on that record. I'm going to turn it into big band. My girlfriend knows a big band. We're going to do like a big band version of that song. I'm looking forward to it.
Kenny Rayner asks, have you ever thought of doing a podcast on skinhead culture?
I'll be honest with you, I have not, but I love this, Drew. This has been so much fun. As soon as we get off of this, I'm calling Phil. We're going to start doing an Oi podcast. I'm going to have to ask you some questions about how to get started because this has been a fun time. I love seeing all the comments come by. Nobody's asking questions, which I'm a little offended by. I'm offended by that, but no, it's been a fantastic time. I really enjoyed it.
What about my question?
What was your question, Kenny? What was your question?
His question was about doing the podcast.
Oh yeah, that's 1,000%. By the way, Exploited. I love Exploited.
Ever play Mexico?
We have not, and that is on. Out of all the places, I still want to play Mexico and Czechoslovakia because the Mexican skinhead scene is fantastic. Those people are fantastic. It's crazy how the West Coast is. They're just like legends out there. They're this skinhead culture. They have taken it to the highest level. They all have the sharpest gear. The girls have the sharpest gear. I remember we played out there one time, and I was DJing as well. And I had my little box of records I was going to DJ. And everybody who looked through it, they're like, "Yeah, these are all right. These are okay." I love it out there. Mexico City is the one place that I want to get to. I've asked people before. I will get us to Los Angeles. If somebody can get us from Los Angeles to Mexico City, you don't have to pay us $1. I don't want any money. I'll sleep on your couch. I just want to play out there.
Hey, have you played, have you played Crash Fest?
We haven't. I've been begging to go out. That's the other place. I love to play Crash Fest.
I mean, even we played Crash Fest. Yeah.
It's a little hard because, honestly, you make no money in Oi. I think people, there was somebody who posted on Facebook once about how like 45 adapters are all about the money. And I was dying laughing because we've never made a single dollar on this. I lose the amount of money I've spent on this band. I could have had a couple cars, but dude, I want to play this year. Probably 2025. We're going to be playing, like I said, we're going to be playing in France. We're going to play Germany. I definitely want to get out to the West Coast. Sure. And again, if you know somebody in Mexico, if you can get us from LA to Mexico City, we will play at your mom's house if you want. I'll bring Drew's mom. We'll do a have her play her first record.
She's playing all the old stuff. None of that crossover stuff.
One thing with metal, Drew's mom's band, it fell off. But seriously, I love it.
Speaking of which, we got to get you. You played. When we did. We just did our 50th Back to the New York Hardcore Roots show. But you guys played A7. This was a great show pretty much before the pandemic hit. It was a lot of fun. We got to get you back down. We got to get you back to the Bowery Electric to do one.
Please. We'll play second. I think sometimes people have this idea that we want to, headline or something like that. I'd rather play second. Put me in second, third with a whole bunch of kids.
Right?
I love the energy that those kids have there. They're building their own little scene, which, you're facilitating it. I appreciate that. But these kids are really like building their own little thing. And I really love it. Yeah,
for sure. And we're booking some dates. I'll reach out to you. And like you said, really part of the reason things are so successful down there is because of the eclectic bills that we put together. It's not about let's put 5 oi bands on. Let's put 5, dad hardcore bands on. We like, let's put a drinking oi band on. Let's put a dad hardcore band on. Let's put some teenagers on. Let's put, a screamcore. And that's why, it brings everybody together.
I love it, dude. That show at Tompkins, the last one I went to, and I wasn't even planning to go to that show. I was walking by and I heard something in Tompkins. And side note, I will never get over the idea that Tompkins is safe now. Where back in the day,
I know
I would have
but lately it's not safe. Someone just got shot there last.
Yeah, I heard that, but dude, compared to the past, I used to walk in there with like a box cutter, and I would make sure where my box cutter was just to make sure because there were junkies in there and it was sketchy.
Yeah,
but
it was.
That's a tangent. I walked by that show and I went over there and dude, I'm gonna keep saying it. I love seeing a bunch of black kids out there dancing. There were black girls. They were having a good time. There were Spanish kids. There were young people. There were old. I saw everybody from 15 to 55, and everybody was just having a good time. It was
bro, nothing for nothing, but black girls are ruling the pit these days. Like ruling the pit at hardcore shows.
Dude,
absolutely.
I was standing at the back, just like dumbstruck. I love it. That's what this is about, right? If you look about it, it's not about one group of people. It's about we're all, again, I know now it's changed and you have rich kids who are into it. You have all kinds of different people into subculture. But for me, the thing that drew to me is we were a bunch of poor kids and we were like, oh, you don't want us as part of your shit? We'll make our own fucking shit. And I love to see that. Like I said, there was a kid, this one kid who had like a cut off, like agnostic front shirt. And he just looked like it was like right back to the original days. I love that shit. Yeah. I had to stop myself and be like, here's a bunch of stickers. Come hang out because it's fantastic to see them keeping all that shit alive.
Well, you're gonna hear from me soon because we're putting together a couple bills now. So we'd love to have you be a part of it.
It's cool too with kids, right? Because so many kids nowadays are just about consuming. They're just about sitting home. You sit and stare at your thing and you just consume. It's good to see people out there. There was one of the bands that played. I think they looked like they were like 19 years old, 18 years old, or maybe younger. And they were just out there
when we did the park thing.
Yeah, it was in the park show. Yeah.
Yeah, that was I think that was Redwoods. Those kids, Redwoods, I think. They're young kids, You
gotta love it, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, we done 50 already. Looking ahead, what does the future hold for 45 adapters? Could you what does the future hold?
Yeah, so next year is gonna be our year to tour around. We're gonna play starting kind of pretty soon. Ryan just had a kid, so that's gonna delay it a little bit. But we're playing in DC. We're really looking to play anywhere. If you can help me get out there, again, we're not looking to make any money off this, but at the same time, I also can't lose a ton of money. So, but we're just really 2025. We're gonna try to play as much and really support this album. And then, like I said, as soon as we get off of this podcast, I'm starting to write the next record. I want to keep it going. This group I'm in right now, this band is the best 45 Adapters has ever sounded. Everybody's contributing to the records. This record, Carlos wrote 3 of the songs. We did some co-writes, and really, I think it's crazy to say it, 15 years into the band or whatever, but this is the best we've ever sounded. And it's only I feel like things are only going to take another step up from here. We're never going to, again, I get it. We're not going to appeal to certain people always, but for the people who love reggae, love rocksteady, love oi, love all these things, I feel like we're doing something original, and we're going to keep pumping it out for those people.
Absolutely. The new record's the new record's Unstoppable. 45 Adapters. I listened to it many, many times this week. You have a great lineup, a fantastic band, and just keep marching ahead to the future. Absolutely.
Who knew? I'm going to be a lifer, dude. I'm going to be 75 years old, still in boots.
You're a lifer, bro. You and me, we're lifers, man. Queens guys, lifers. That said, I want to thank you for coming on. It was fantastic. You'll have to come soon. Hey, maybe I'm going to drag you on when I got this guy coming on.
I would love to. And like I was saying, get some. Let me spin some records. I'll play some two-tone stuff. It'll be a fun time.
Absolutely. Anybody
Dude,
you want to
thank you so much, man.
My pleasure. Anybody you want to thank or shout out?
Again, I got to thank Pirates Press for making all this stuff possible. They really support us. And I want to thank my band members who, again, I was ready to hang up the boots. And these guys kept me going on. I want to thank everybody who comes out and supports us. We got like 20 fans, but every one of those 20 fans buys 10 copies of the record. So I think everybody who's allowed me to do this, we can't do it without you. That's the thing that I think people forget is like, it's easy to focus on the bands and the promoters and everything else, but we need people to come out and support the scene, come out to shows, come out and be part of it. And I really thank everybody who spends their hard-earned money. Because again, the people who are coming out to see us are not millionaires. I know that. And I know you guys, I know when you guys buy a record, you're spending your hard-earned money, and we really appreciate that.
Will you please let us know here? Just tell us who's in the band, the great record you did. Tell us the lineup, the current lineup of the band.
Yeah, I'll start from I guess my left, Carlos, who's really my brother, my spiritual advisor, straight out of Bogota, Colombia, and also one of the hardest dudes I know. If I have a problem, if you got a problem with me, you're gonna have to get through Carlos. So let me just say that right there. Ryan, who is from Long Island, just a fantastic guitar player. No ego, the most humility. He plays a lot of ska and reggae and brings a lot of that sound to it. Some fat guy in the middle. I don't know who that is. Then we got Jamie, who was the last guy who joined the band. He's been in a couple of big hardcore bands. Just a great musician, super humble guy. Used to be a punk. The first time I met Jamie, he was a street punk hanging out back in the, back on St. Mark's back in the day. Used to go to ABC No Rio shows. I remember him from there. And then all the way on the right, Stooley in the camo jacket, who literally is, I would say, holding this scene down in New York City. Like, again, Urban Waste, legendary hardcore band, 45 Adapters. He's in the Stress, one of the best oi bands in the world probably right now. Just a super talented guy. And I'm lucky to play with these guys. I really appreciate it every single time. Fantastic. I'm drinking water, right? Because I'm a little bit drunk. Those whiskey that Sandro's making.
He didn't start with water, kids. He started with the special lemonade.
She was making these lemonade drinks, and I couldn't taste the whiskey. And I'm like, I don't think there's any alcohol in it, but I'm feeling real happy right now. She actually brought over the water. She's like, you need to slow down a little bit. So.
Fantastic. G, I'll talk to you soon. You're gonna hear from me because we're putting together a bill. You're gonna hear from me pretty soon.
Awesome. Like Vicious Rumor says, anytime, anywhere. I'll play at your basement. If you guys want me to come play at your basement, just let me know.
Thank you. Thank you for your heart. I'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, Drew.
Take care. There you have it. Another one in the books. What a great show. What a passionate, positive, enthusiastic person. It was a real pleasure to have him on the show. Check out the 45 Adapters. They're new. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Pat. It was a great show. Thank you, Hazer. It's nice to come back strong with a great show. The last one, with the war correspondent with Jonathan, was tough. That was a tough show to do. Absolutely, man. We love positive people. We love people that are good. A lot of good feeling on this show. That's a lot of good feeling. Good. I'm really glad. I will see everybody 1 week from today. Jump around. Get up. Excuse me, Senora. If I was a Jew, then I'd like the menorah. 1 week from today, Danny Boy O'Connor from House of Pain will be on the show. That said, yeah, we will. Hold on a sec. Excuse me? Yes, I think we should get them to the Bowery. Oh, yeah, we will. We will. I'm just going to read my own comment. Yeah, right. No, we will. I'll talk to Larry tonight because we got some balls in the air. November 11th looks like the Bowery date, and yep. I think they'd be great on that bill. Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll drive down to that for sure. All right, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, no, that's okay. Talk to you later. All right, bye. All right. Yeah, Raymond, what's that? Seen most of your New York Hardcore Chronicles. It was awesome seeing a friend make it here. Well, good. I'm glad. It makes me happy. I saw Biohazard open for House of Pain at Roseland. Oh, hell yeah. You think? That was a great show. I was there. Sean McNally, get us up to Boston, will you, bro? Love his and your passion. Another great episode, bud. Come on, bro. Make it happen, Sean. Get us up there. That said, hey, thanks everybody. Once again, New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. I'll see you in a week. Until then, do good things, and good things will come to where am I? Maybe it's not meant to be. Wait, hold on. So maybe it's not. Maybe I'm not supposed to be signing off yet. Drew, are you going to This Is Hardcore next weekend? I don't think I am. Well, next weekend we have this show on Saturday, right? On Sunday, excuse me. Danny Boy's on Sunday. It's a big show. I might, if anything, maybe Saturday, let me see. What am I doing on Saturday next week? Nothing. I don't know. We'll see. Possibly. I think we're good. All right. Eddie's, y'all. Thanks for watching the show. Till next time, do good things. The good things will come.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes.